can I ask you, how many chassis are you guys selling a year now?
All of them. Craig Metros, 35 plus years, retired Ford design executive.
Chrysler Plymouth Prowler came up, and then we started talking. We're like, oh, the Prowler, and then there's what goes with the Prowler? There's the PT Cruiser, and then there was the Chevy SSR. What do you call that style of car, and why did Ford never dabble into that, like those goofy sort of cars? Like,
working on the 2004 F-150 was pretty special, only because there's like 900,000 of these things on the road.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, you're making such an impact. The design directors and there would be like screaming matches, and it's all in Italian. These guys are just screaming. They're throwing like rolls of tape at the model. They're just, and then they go off and they get a cappuccino together and everything's like fine. It's just going to cost a fortune, and they weren't getting the performance and everything they wanted out of it. And I don't know exactly how it prevailed, and then it turned into Project Phoenix, and then that sort of became basically an all new vehicle, and then it was, well, why not? Why don't we just recreate the Ford GT?
Welcome back. Another episode of Oil and Whiskey. This week, very special one. They're all special, but this one's super special. Craig Metros, in person, in studio. As always, this episode is brought to you by WeatherTech. WeatherTech's roof basket increases vehicle storage capacity, so you never need to pick up and choose which essentials to leave behind.
Storing gear on top frees up space inside your vehicle, which means more legroom and a more comfortable road trip. It also means you can take more with one vehicle rather than having to bring two. Who has time or gas money for that?
Transforms your vehicle into a true travel rig. Perfect for outdoorsmen, overlanders, off-roaders, and everyday trailblazers. Great for hauling duffel bags, coolers, camping, sports equipment, and more. It has a unique modular design, so you can size up or size down, make it wider, longer, etc., depending on your cargo carrying needs or if you want to move it to a larger or smaller vehicle.
Roof basket is made from high-strength plastic that's durable and designed for years of use. It won't rust, chip, or corrode like other metal roof carriers. It's 100% made in the USA, so you can be assured of its quality.
Go to WeatherTech.com and check out the roof basket today. 35 plus years retired Ford design executive, because you've held so many titles, and basically always exterior design, but it's been North America, Asia, Australia, hopping around the globe. Japan. I knew I was going to leave some out.
Yeah, and I did interior as well.
Oh, so all of it. Yeah, so everything.
Yeah, production, show car, passenger vehicle, Lincoln, truck.
We've been wanting to do this for a while. We knew of you and had run-ins with you at SEMA around the Ford Design Award stuff, and we'll get into a lot of that. And then through Adrian Peters and Tom Peters and Andrew, we like, oh yeah, absolutely, we're friends. You need to connect it.
We found the way in.
That we found the way
to go
in.
after you to get you. So here you are.
We ambushed you at Grand National, and when you ask in person, it's hard to say no. Like if you send an email, it can always be like, oh, I didn't get it, or whatever.
Yeah, right.
But if you ask somebody in person, it's difficult to be like, So I can do it anytime. I don't have
usually the best. Yeah, I'll think about it. Let me get back to you, man.
Don't you send me an email?
Yeah.
I really appreciate you coming out and doing it.
For sure.
I appreciate you asking me to be here. It's great.
Well, I hate to do the cliche thing, but I think it's important to get all the meat. We got to get to the start of like, one, you worked at Ford for 35 plus years, so
it's a good run.
It's a really good run. You get into a lot of stuff, but how early on did the car bug bite you?
Before I remember, my dad was taking me to car shows. I was still in a stroller. My dad was a car guy. Worked at GM his whole career. He was an engineer. And it's strange. I don't know how my dad got into cars because his dad came from Greece, hard hardworking individual, just great work ethic, started a family, just wanted to provide for his family. Wasn't cars for him was, something to get you to point A to point B. So I guess the real question for me is I'm not sure how my dad got into it. I think just growing up in Dearborn and, that area, it's a big car area, and I think his buddies all got into hot rods, and he caught the bug, and then I didn't have a choice.
I don't want to derail right off the bat, but something you said your dad worked at GM his whole career. We've talked about this with Tom and sorry, I didn't even pass that over. That's my fault. We talked about with Tom and Adrian. We've had Ralph on here as well. Is it mostly the consumers that create this brand rivalry and diehardness? Because on the designer side and the executive side and people that work, there's a lot of, my dad worked at GM and I worked at Ford, and I worked at Ford for a while, and then I worked at GM, and then I worked at, Stellantis, and I did this. There doesn't seem to be the, I'm not going to say that you don't have brand loyalty, but it doesn't seem to be the
hardcore
the drama amongst
as
executives.
Much as it is like the
consumer,
the Ford tough guy and the Chevy truck guy.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think there's some rivalry there. I think the rivalry may have been bigger, like in the the 50s, the 60s, maybe 70s. I think when suddenly the big three were now competing globally, right? The 80s, Japanese came on strong. Then it almost that rivalry turned into a brotherhood. It's like almost like a Detroit thing. It was sort of like
us against them.
Yeah, now it's Detroit against the globe. Because I hired in mid-'80s, and that's when the Japanese were, they were really coming on strong. And so I think there was a shift, almost globally. I wanted to work at GM. That was my dream. My dad was there. I loved Corvettes and Camaros growing up. It's ironic. I was born and raised in Dearborn. I literally grew up like 2 blocks from Design Center. We were the only family to have GM cars on our driveway, like Ford Country. So my dream was to be a designer at General Motors. I loved the cars. My dad had a great career, and then in '85, I landed an internship at the GIA studio in Torino, Italy. So the first time in my life, except for Canada, I went to mainland Europe. I was 20, and it changed my life. Seeing the world, getting outside of Detroit. I was a fan of Italian design, Giugiaro, Bertoni, and it just changed my whole trajectory. I came back and thought I knew if I went to GM, I would be in Warren, Michigan for 35 years. So graduated, was all set to take a job with Volkswagen. They offered me a job in Dusseldorf, and then right before I accepted, Ford called, interviewed with Jack Telnack, and Jack's like, "Hey, what do you want?" The world, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, "Hey, I'm ready to take a job with Volkswagen. You guys sent me to GIA last summer. It changed my life. I want to work in Europe. I want to travel. I want to see the world." And he's like, "If you come with Ford, you will get that opportunity." And I did. After 35 years, I'd spent more time overseas than I did in Dearborn.
Wow.
How does the Ford job lead to that? Like, what's the path that takes you overseas and all over the world working for Ford?
Well, I think it's funny because, GM's global, Ford's global, Chrysler was global, but Ford I don't know, Ford just had, especially in design, they just had this sort of very direct connection to the world. It was very common for Ford execs, marketing, engineering, designers to experience working overseas. In fact, there was a time, I think it's still true today, that you basically didn't get promoted at Ford unless you had international experience. That was one of the requirements. And I think, part of it was timing. They don't seem to be sending people overseas as much as they do when I started. But yeah, I was there 1 year, and then boom, I went back to the GIA studio for about a year. And then it turned into the cycle. I would come back for a couple of years, and then they'd send me to Germany. I was in Germany twice. I did two stints in Germany. I was in the UK. I was in Japan, and then my last one, I was in Melbourne, Australia for almost a decade.
Really?
Yeah.
I was going to get to the Melbourne thing here in a minute. On the Ford design for foreign local population, you're still staying with the same platform, so you're doing fascia changes and stuff like that for whatever local area, or are you doing? I don't know all of the foreign Ford models, so I apologize.
Yeah. So earlier on, they had, they'd have different platforms. Even though the little car in Europe was an Escort, nameplate, at least it was an Escort. It was basically a completely different car than the Escort in the U.S.
Really?
And that was years ago. And then again, over time, just, working more efficiently, working smarter, and working globally, suddenly platforms started to become global.
How much does the region you're designing for actually influence the design of that car or truck?
I would say maybe more years ago, there was seemed to be more of a aesthetic separation, especially size, size of vehicles. Obviously, Asia a lot smaller, Europe smaller.
Not many expeditions over there.
No.
Excursions.
Yeah, not too many. You do see quite a few F-150s in Australia. People bring them over. But I again, just, as industries started to work globally, working more efficient, and then I think it was really the competition. The Japanese, right? They build a Honda Accord and they sell it all over the world. And now, that's pretty much what people do now. And part of it too, it seemed like what was it, the late 80s, early 90s, all of a sudden, like the whole brand thing started to become a thing. No one really talked about brand earlier than that,
right?
And brand management. And then that became a thing, like, sticking to almost like a brand DNA and having its own look and appearance and feel. And so that kind of all exploded in the 90s. So, and then again, just efficiency, working smarter, working, financially efficient, having a single platform around the world and 5 different ones around the world.
It's interesting you bring that up. It was one I had penciled away for asking. Is you mentioned the DNA of Ford, and from a design standpoint, as new models roll out and you're working with a broad array of vehicles, especially overseas and in the U.S., what are some of the core tenets or molecules that make up the Ford DNA that you try to keep? You can tweak on, but you can't lose. That make sure that this array of vehicles in the new model year look like Fords. I've always been,
That's a good question. That's a really good question, Josh.
That is a good question.
Well, and Ralph talked a little bit about it on the Mopar side of things, of some of the things that they kind of did the grill deal that became a thing that was a core that was harkening back to the 50s and even before.
Yeah.
What is some of the stuff on the Ford that are things that like, well, that's something we at least need to be in the realm of reality on that shape or something?
Yeah. I think it depends on the nameplate. I think, and then, if the nameplate, obviously F-150, Mustang, those are, I'd say, much more iconic than maybe, an Expedition or, they've been around a long time. The Ford GT. So, like Ford F-150, for example, I think there's a overall genuineness to F-150s. It was interesting. I'm teaching at College for Creative Studies now, and I teach a lot of classes that are sponsored by OEMs. And
is that where you graduated from?
I did, yeah. And so we had a sponsored project with Stellantis, and a few of the Stellantis designers were there. Mark Trossel was there. He was talking about Ford Ram and how Ford Ram is, it's muscular, it's it's got some fluidity to it. And I was sitting there listening to him thinking, God, F-150 is almost the opposite. F-150 is very from an aesthetic standpoint, there's a genuineness to it. There's a strength. We always, when we were designing F-150s, we always talk about it being a tool. The body looking like it's been stamped as opposed to being sculpted. And then, cues, the sort of the interlocking C-clamp of the the headlight, or the drop belt is a big one. And then just the overall, the overall confidence and I'd almost call it like almost Teutonic as opposed to styled.
Okay. So it's interesting that you said the nameplate does. So I assume that, like you mentioned, the cars that have a lot more heritage and provenance or history also have a lot more rabid fan base and loyalty to it. So you can get away with probably screwing with the front end of a Ford Taurus a little bit easier than you can on the redesign of the Mustang. Because let's face it, no matter when a new Mustang design comes out, you're going to love it or hate it. You're going to have the people that love the earlier one, and they're going to always talk about the headlights too big, the headlights too small, the rear tail lights didn't do this, they didn't do that.
Yeah. It's also amazing how everybody just needs to live with it for a little bit too. Because almost unless it's something so spectacular, everybody's reaction is always that it's never as good as the last generation.
Yeah.
And then it always, give it 6 months, and then you look back at the last one, and you're like, well, it actually didn't look. This looks way better.
Yeah. Or and then as soon as the new generation comes out, the one that you talked about when it came out, you hated so bad, you're like, oh, that one looks way better than that one. It's funny. You see it. BMW does it all the time, and you're like, I hate that new grill. And now they went to the new grill, and you're like, that other grill is way better than that.
Is that just lack of vision and creativity by the consumer, or did the from a designer perspective, do you guys know that going into it? You're like, they're just gonna have to deal with this. Everybody's they're gonna hate this at first, and then they're gonna love it.
Well, the hope is they're gonna love it. Right out of the
sells
box,
more cars usually.
No, people, they just they get comfortable, they get used to what they know and what they've seen, and sometimes when they haven't seen something before, it's I guess it can be a bit shocking, or they're just not used to it yet.
They haven't digested it yet because it's different. They don't like it. I have to say, though,
the example where it really never sort of grew on me was, I will never, ever forget, I was a kid. I'm in the back seat of my dad's car. We're driving it doesn't matter, we're on the highway, and we pass, it's 19... I think it's like the end of 73, or maybe it's just 1974. and we're on the freeway, and we're passing a Mustang II.
Oh. Yeah.
Wow. It was just like, whoa. This is like, it was just, and I, by then I was already,
Right.
I was already hooked. The car thing, I knew every car on the road.
But now I assume that once you got into the nuts and bolts of the business, you realize that wasn't a design-driven choice. That wasn't a passion project
little
from
handcuffed
beauty.
on that one.
That was like, we got to do something to try
It led to a ton of
Gas.
suspension in older hot rods moving forward.
I've got a great
something that never
Mustang
handled
2
it.
story. So fast forward, 15 years. Now I've gone through school. I've just graduated. I'm like first day at Ford Motor Company. And I'm being taken around by a few of the designers. I'm meeting everyone for the first time. The design center, it's massive. I'm getting lost on my own. So a couple of designers are taking me under their wing. They're taking me into the different studios, and I'm meeting all these designers. And I meet a designer named Buck Mook. Does that name ring a bell, Buck Mook?
No.
It doesn't ring a bell, but it kind of sounds like a guy that could have designed the Mustang.
He's an
too.
interesting guy. He would be a good interview. So
Be awesome.
He penned the original Monkey Mobile.
Yeah.
When he was a student at Art Center at the time.
Cool.
Yeah, he's Buck's 83 and never know it. Like just car guy, to the core. I think he's got like 25 cars. Anyway, I just meet him for the first time, and we're standing around one of the drawing boards, and we're just having a chat, and they're talking about real estate. And Buck's like, hey, yeah, I just, I want to buy an old building. I just want to buy a building and I want to start buying up Mustang IIs. He's like, I want to start collecting Mustang IIs. And I'm like, dude, really, a Mustang II? Like, of all the Mustangs you would want to buy up and start collecting, why would you want to buy a Mustang II? That's like the worst Mustang that was ever designed.
Oh.
You don't
He
need
just
as big
goes-
of a building.
Just goes quiet and looks at me and goes, because I designed it.
That's the classic.
Kind of thing I would say.
It
right?
seems like you're going to get
Kinda
along good.
First day on the job, yeah. This is going to go great.
Yeah, I mean, it's, for
I
what,
haven't,
like, it's
I haven't
not
even
that
unpacked
bad,
my
right?
stuff yet, so it won't take me long.
I mean,
to
there
get-
was the King Cobra. The King Cobra was actually kind of cool if you think about
try
it.
to walk it back. Don't
And
walk
we're-
it back.
And it's funny because we're great friends. I just saw Buck last night. He's I love Buck. He's a good guy.
Because I designed it.
That's cool.
It's
I tell you, not to just go too far backwards, but as we're talking about this, talking about that like the prior model and people having a difficult time, you don't really see that with Ford. Like, I feel like that's really my experience is with General Motors typically. Ford's usually like
On the trucks, they do a way better
but
job.
Ford seems always a lot more progressive. That the new design is always a lot more exciting.
Right.
And they never have those like questionable ones where you're like, I don't know if I like it as much as the last one. GM seems like you see that a lot more. The trucks primarily.
They get a little ahead of their skis, I think, on some of the truck stuff. But that's just personal preference. The Fords, you're right. It's when the new one does come out, it usually has better stuff.
Yep.
It looks better here. They've always done a great job on interiors. We have a inside running joke that because there's never the perfect, especially on trucks. We talk about it on trucks all the time for daily drivers or work trucks or something. There's never the perfect truck that checks all the boxes. You're right. Well, Dodge might have better, Ram might have better this, or Ford is always one on the interiors, right? But Chevy might have a better of this. And we've always said that there's like those conversations in those smoky rooms of like, all right, Ford you get 5 years to kick our ass on the interior, right? We're going to do a horrible job because it appears like they purposely do a horrible job. And then they're like, all right, well, you get the outside, and then all right, guys, like you guys at the Ram, we've been kicking your asses, whatever. You can do 300 more horsepower than us, all right? Put the biggest motor in it. We won't touch you. We won't try to do any of that. It's very funny how there's never that it just doesn't check all the boxes. But Ford is always on the interior, at least for the last probably 20-something years, really done a good job at kicking GM's ass.
Yeah, I gotta give it to Ram. I'm old enough where I can remember Dodge truck. Like no one bought Dodge trucks.
No, they came out of nowhere.
No
It's not like it was
one,
a natural
it
progression.
it was a joke.
Yeah.
Like early
then-
90s when they had the kind of bubbled flare.
Well, that's when I feel like
That's the first start
I call
of.
I call it they did the semi truck front end.
Yeah.
Right, where the really tall grill and the lower lights. I feel like
But the year right before that, it could have been 40 years older truck.
Yeah.
But it was just the previous model
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Because that was just
Like a square body.
and just no one was buying them, and just horrible reputation. And then I got to hand it to him. I feel like it was designed. It was probably I did an internship at Chrysler, by the way, before I went to before I did the Italian internship. So it was probably Tom Gale. Tom
Oh,
Gale.
yeah.
I've got so much. Tom Gale. So Tom, he was ahead of exterior design when I did the internship, and I've got so much respect for Tom. I mean, he really drove design, and it was design that really put Dodge Ram on the radar, right? I mean, it was a bit controversial, but I feel like that's sort of what they needed to sort of ignite that nameplate, because they had nothing. They were dying. And because I remember I was in truck when that truck came out, and we were like, whoa, they're dialing it up. And every year after that, right, they got on the radar, and then every year they just keep amping that thing up.
It was like 95, wasn't
better and better.
94. I remember I had a square body Dakota, right? And that was like a 93 or 4. I thought it was a 95, but I remember
95 sounds right.
I think 95. It was the last year of that square body Dakota, and it was basically just like if a kid drew a pickup truck, right? It was just a truck, right? It's a smaller version of a square body and not near as cool. But the Dakota that came right after that, they did the Dakota was.
Yeah. That was when they had the RT.
Yeah, it was very much like the Ram. It was just smaller, but the stylistic wise, and they did that front end. It was like you jumped 20 years. It wasn't a natural progression or flow of like we're going to change the front end here, and there was no direct lineage between the two besides the four holes in the grill. Yeah. But that Dakota RT
That was a bang. I was working
in the good-looking truck.
Yeah, I was working in the body shops in that era, and they'd come
V8 in a
through
small truck
regularly. The yellow one with the purple Dakota RT graphics, and it was like, dude, that was.
They put big wheels on them. Remember
really
that the RTs had I think 17s at that point. 17s in a V8.
Yeah.
In a mid-sized truck.
That silver finish on the wheels.
Yeah. We're going down the Mopar path, but
those things kind of disappeared entirely, did they not? They're right there in Dodge Nitro land.
Yeah, just off the face of the earth.
yeah, 5-year run, and you saw them, a few used. I think a lot of
here
those.
they just completely rusted away.
Yeah, I'd never be sitting here talking about Ram trucks.
Yeah, this may have gone the wrong direction. But
It tends to
Right
veer off track from just the standard,
Yeah.
what'd you do, when'd you do it? I know,
No,
a lot of that.
I just just being in the industry, it's just one of those things. I commend them for what they did. They really, they brought that truck back from oblivion.
They did. And today they've got them optioned out so well.
It's really respectable. People love them.
There's a big screen, TV in the dashboard.
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, the opposite of what we were asking earlier, where we thought that you guys would be like fighting each other, like the scene in Anchorman where everyone's coming out with pitchforks.
Oh yeah,
The GM guys and the Ford guys, the Dodge guys.
Seeing when Dodge comes out with something like that, does that inspire everybody on your team to, hey, we got to step our game up?
Or how early do you know
look
it's
at different
coming?
Things?
What's the leaks? You have to know that it's coming.
Yeah,
Right?
Detroit is pretty good at keeping things undercover. You wouldn't. There's not as many leaks as you would think. We see stuff and we hear things, I would say, I think designers actually tend to like the competition and like to see, other companies pushing the envelope, because then it gives us leverage to go back to the planners and to the finance group
To push.
Right?
Get
It's
that
leverage,
budget approved,
right?
get a few
Yeah,
more
exactly.
dollars.
Like, hey, they've they're amping this up, like they're offering 22-inch wheels now, right? So it gives us leverage from a design standpoint to to try to get the things that we want.
Because we've had several different designers on here, and we've, the common thread is the designers can design whatever, the engineers can engineer whatever. It comes down to the budget, right? And going from a 20-inch wheel to a 22-inch wheel
Changes the budget.
it changes the budget significantly across the board, and all the other things that go in. We're like, no, we use that same tire on the Expedition and this, and that's, we don't want to have a new tire and a new SKU for the it was funny though, I was ran and grabbed the water, I was thinking of that era of the Dodge 95, the same thing though with Ford, with the F-150, because you think about the 95 F-150, same brick, and then what 96 was the slant nose.
Oh, P96, right? The Aero.
So it's, I mean, you got to think, you got Dodge hitting at the same time as the Aero, and that's a big transition for Ford on the F-150 as well. That wasn't a slight change.
Yeah.
I mean, think about when the square body Lightning to the slant nose Lightning.
That's a way I would refer to them, as the cloud trucks, because they don't have, there's no like hard lines. It's just kind of like
a cloud,
just kind of like round,
slippery.
That was the Aero era.
Okay. You were in that department during that era?
I was working in I was in Germany when they were working on that truck, and that, you have to remember that was the Jack Telnack era. So the Taurus Sable pretty much saved Ford Motor Company. I think they were probably financially worse off than the public knew. They didn't. It was funny because when I hired into Ford, I hired in '86. There was such a generation gap. Like when I hired in, and everyone felt like my dad. It was just this strange. All the clay modelers you worked with, the engineer, they all seemed to be like 10 years older, and then up from there. And it was because like they basically stopped hiring for almost a generation. They were hurting, and then they gambled on the Taurus Sable. If you go back before the Taurus Sable and some of the Thunderbird, those boxy '80s, the Futura. I mean, those cars were pretty bad, right?
It was the SHO that saved Ford, wasn't it? The Ford Taurus SHO had to be that's the one
Ford,
that just
the
race car.
The Taurus and Sable. I mean, it turned the company around. So
really?
The financially, and then obviously it had such a big impact from a design standpoint, and that was Jack Telnack at the time was really pushing the whole Aero look, and then that sort of umbrella, that Aero look kind of happened. I mean, everything sort of turned into the Aero look.
The Taurus,
the Continental came out, the Thunderbird.
Oh yeah,
and then
that was a great car.
And then they even applied it to the F-150.
Huh.
Didn't the Taurus though, that Taurus body style it went into cop cars too, right? Didn't it kill? It was at the end of the
Crown Vic,
the Caprice and Run, because there was gas. I completely am screwing some of this stuff up. There was something to do with that model came out and the V6 that it got adopted by a lot, and they killed the Caprice on a lot of stuff because of the V8 thing.
I don't know that.
There's something.
I don't know. There could be.
I think it was because of RoboCop, maybe.
That's what I was just thinking.
RoboCop, and they said, "Oh, every cop's got to have it."
It's like it's the RoboCop era. All those cars,
all of them are. I just thought about it. We should have had John York on here because his dad. Our fabricator and shop manager for the hot rod shop. His dad was a clay modeler at Ford his whole life.
What's his name?
York would be his last name. I don't know.
Yeah.
He was on the truck program, I think.
God, what's his first name?
Whatever.
Yeah, let me
You can text John.
Yeah.
I just, after he's talking about this, I'm like realizing, John's going to be listening to this. And he's like, I've already heard all these stories, you idiots.
No, I worked with him for years. I'm embarrassed I've forgotten his name.
Yeah, he's an older guy. I think he's in his 80s.
He was a sailor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Great guy. Talented. Easy to work with.
Based on knowing his son for 17 years, was he a pretty macho guy, like tough guy? I've never met I've met his dad like once or twice, but I'd have to imagine to create John.
I don't know if I would say that. He was just back to this generational thing, right? And I there was a few of us that hired in, myself, a guy named Sid Chang, Camilo Pardo. We were these we walked through the door. We're 22 years old, and I was 22. I looked like I was 16, and now I'm working with these older modelers who are could be grumpy at times, could be they don't want to listen to some 22-year-old telling them what they want to do in the clay model. And
Chandler, he just texted me.
Chan York.
Yeah.
There was a handful of guys that
it's pretty cool.
were super helpful, and they were really good to me and kind, and Chan was one of them. And
that's
super
wild.
talented. Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Talk about looking 16. I would have to agree because I actually have a little picture here of this is 5 years into your employment.
That's 5 years. Yeah. So I've been to Italy already, and I've been to Germany.
Whoops. There we go.
So yeah, I've a couple of years in already.
So when you come in, it's a great picture. I think you look like Randy Travis there. That's
See a little bit of
you
that.
see a little Randy. That's styling, man. I love that. When I was just searching some stuff earlier, and it came up, and I was like, oh, I got to save that.
So funny.
The first project, you come in, you already make a great impression first day and offend the dude that to design the Mustang II.
Yeah, that was awesome.
You got to do your onboarding process and all that. What's the
You
first
can bounce
project
back from those things?
Yeah,
that I know
100%.
from experience.
What's the first thing that they put you on? When you go, to the drawing board, pen to paper, research, whatever it is, what's the first thing you're working on?
So I was in the international studio, and we were supporting a big program that was going to come out of Germany. It was I can't believe I still remember the code. It was a CD 127, which became the I think it eventually became the Mondeo in Europe.
Okay.
And so that was the first thing it was like a kind of a mid-size four-door sedan for Europe. And then eventually they were going to send them to North America. So it was a global vehicle. That was the first thing I started sketching on.
Touching back on that Mustang II story, I feel like we should get a whole list of all the cars you've designed or been involved in, so you can have some notes.
Are you saying so that I don't do what he did? Is that you're trying to? He's done some amazing. I'm familiar with a lot of his work.
I'm pretty thick-skinned.
It's well
Everybody
known.
misses on at least one though.
Yeah, that's your area of expertise, though.
It's well known on this on the podcast to a lot of our listeners and fans. We've talked about it a lot that Jeremy has a unique ability to. We call them smoke bombs. Most people just squarely put their foot right in their mouth. And he's learned a lot because we've helped him. And
I'm trying to front run this one.
You also he's had so many horrible mistakes. Generally, you do learn from those. And it's funny to watch him now. I've seen it. You're grown so much. And the biggest tell is when somebody is bringing up something. Usually, it's a little bit off topic, and a guy just goes into talking about something. Based on their passion level, you should be able to take up some social cues that that's probably not the thing to bash on, right?
Maybe it's a social, some sort of a social disorder that I have. Do you think that
No, I don't think it's 100%. Yeah, it's 100% a social disorder. You're getting better at it and realizing now.
I feel like I'm just passionate and maybe opinionated is maybe the thing. I don't know.
You are 100%, and a lot of people are. It's just it's funny because there's been times now like we'll leave a dinner or get in a car and he'll be like, I was about to say something about something, but it seemed like that guy was way into it. I'm like, yeah, 100%. He was telling stories about how big into fly fishing he was, and you were about to.
In my defense, though, how often am I wrong? Like maybe the thing that was said, nobody wanted to hear that, but am I typically wrong, or is it
no? But
like 99 to 100% right?
It doesn't make it any more comfortable.
No, it doesn't.
Regardless if you're right or wrong, it doesn't make it any more
It could
comfortable.
usually be the most off the wall shit too.
Yeah.
Just there, I hate the color blue. That's the worst color ever invented.
I invented the color blue.
Yeah, I actually made color blue.
Yeah. So yeah, a little cheat sheet prior to would have been really good.
Spoiler alert: I love GTs. It's my favorite car of all time, so we're not going to end up with a smoke bomb there.
So we're going to get there. Yeah. Don't worry. We're going to get there. When does the first project that's going to take you overseas, when does that happen, or when do you start getting word of that?
So I worked in Dearborn for a year, and then they wanted to send me to the GIA studio, back to the GIA studio where I did the internship.
So he wasn't lying. Like when he said you're going to get that opportunity, that was quick.
And that was part of it was almost like a developmental thing with Ford. They sent people overseas into different studios just for their personal development and to learn maybe different techniques and work on other programs, meet people from, other aspects of the company or, other areas of the company. So, so I was in the international studio for a year and then moved back to Torino, Italy. And I'm trying to think what I was working on. We were working on a show car, I think, that sort of never. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. Yeah, we were working on a car that it like a sedan thing that didn't happen, and then the middle of my time there, we started working on it was called the GIA Saguaro, and you can find it on the internet. It's you don't see it very often. It was a.
I'll
watch you try to spell this.
Shut up! I was already thinking about where I was going with it.
Yeah, it was like a 4-door, very rounded. It was very, at the time everything was very sort of slippery and rounded and
close.
But it was kind of ahead of its time in that it was sort of like a little kind of
future car.
Got some Geo in it.
It was like a sporty SUV that was sort of on-road, off-road. So, and this was the 80s, so it was.
It's kind of
that is cutting edge for the 80s.
Pretty, yeah.
A little rally car look to it with the.
It's got some saw blade wheels on it too.
Yeah.
It's funny though, you see some carryover though in stuff that did come out in the 90s from GM too.
Yeah.
There's some Saturn.
Yeah.
Like.
That windshield shape.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You mentioned.
Go ahead. So I worked on that, and then that was happening, and then I left it, and then they brought me back to Dearborn, and then it's even hard to remember now. I'm trying to think where I went after this. I got into the cycle of coming back for a couple of years, and then sending me away, and then back, and I was always back for a couple of years and then gone for like a little longer.
Just a little reset.
For a few years, reset, and then a little longer. And then, like I said, the last time I was in Australia for so long that I pretty much thought, you know what, I'm probably going to end my career here. I was there like 9 years.
Working on what projects? Or what did you go there to start working
I went
on?
there to work on, so I had just, I'd worked on the 2004 F-150. And then right after the F-150 we were facelifting the Expedition Navigator. And then Ford wanted to do this global Ranger. Well, I say global. At the time, it was global except for North America. Don't ask me why it wasn't slated at the time for North America. And it was Peter Horbury. Remember Peter?
No.
Peter Horbury. He was a design legend. He was at Ford he was at Volvo, and then when we purchased Volvo, he sort of came over through Volvo. He was in Dearborn, and great guy. He unfortunately passed a couple of years ago, but it became, great colleagues, and he always said, he always say to me, I think I intrigued him because he always thought like I had a bag packed and I was ready to go at a notice, which I was. But no, they were going to develop this global Ranger pickup in Australia, and they wanted someone that had a lot of truck experience, that had just come off the F-150 program, and Peter thought I'd be a great sorry, not great. Peter thought I'd be the right guy to do that, to go over there and run a small team to do this global pickup truck.
Explain to me the business side of the decisions to do the F-150 redesign in Australia. Why there and not the U.S.?
Well, it was a Ranger.
Okay.
It wasn't
Well, but you
did
come
the
okay.
F-150 here.
You did the F-150.
So I did the F-150 here, and the 2004 was probably from a customer standpoint. I don't know if the customers realized it as much as internally. It was sort of the first program we did where we would design a truck, we'd throw everything at it, and that would be the high series, and then we'd just strip the hell out of it, and that would become the low series.
Sure.
And the 2004, that's it. We actually dialed in different lifestyles to determine the different series trucks. So, the base truck was the no nonsense, hose out the interior work truck, and we designed it around that. And then there was the family carrier, things that a family needs and would appreciate. And then there's maybe the guy that owns the construction company, and he's taking clients to dinner, and he wants the leather seats, and he wants all the
King's Ranch.
He wants all the appointments that you find in a luxury sedan. So that was, at least at Ford on the F-Series, that's the first time we kind of really dialed in all these different series, and we kind of drilled deep on lifestyle. I mean, at the time we were selling, 900 and something thousand units a year. So, there was such a diversity in lifestyles and how people use these trucks and what they wanted and didn't want. We did a ton of research. We talked to customers, and we really wanted to understand exactly what they need for these specific series, not just load it up for high series and strip it for base. So I think it was that experience that they brought me to Australia to dive into the Ranger, because the Ranger was, it was going everywhere in the around
right.
the world. So they wanted to sort of hone in on that strategy, and not just use it as, this was domestic. The Ranger was a global market.
Right.
Is that 2004 F-150? I had one in 2004, an FX4, and it's one of the few massive movements in automotive design and evolution that I remember. That was a huge thing. It was talked about everywhere. the way the interior was such a massive departure from what
Yeah.
it previously was. Is that viewed inside of Ford as being like a large success or something that really propelled Ford forward, or was that just a natural progression into like, no, it's the new
I don't
Ford?
know, I know both. I mean, it's funny you mentioned that because, God, the battles, the fight, like, I mean, we introduced a console with a floor shifter,
Yeah.
F-150, and when we first introduced it, and I'm not going to call out departments or names or anyone, but I mean, there were people. There's no way you're putting a console and a floor shifter in a pick. Like, why?
I thought it was the
Why-
coolest thing. That's
why
what
would you
sold
do
me on
that?
the truck.
Why would you do? And that was, I'm gonna sort of beat my own drum here, but like that was design pushing that.
Sure.
I got another great little story. So I have this little pet peeve thing, working on trucks for years. I always like the boxes to look integrated to the cab, right? And when I say integrated, I mean, I don't, a lot of like customers still, to their view, a true pickup, it's on a frame and it's got to have a separate box with a gap to the, from the cab to the box. I get all of that, but just aesthetically, to me, it's a balance. It looks weird to me when you've got the belt line sort of the top of the window opening here, and then the bed is like 150 millimeters lower than the, it doesn't index anything. So when I got in the truck, I immediately started sketching tops of boxes that indexed the belt line. And then on this truck, we introduced the plastic cap on top of the bed, and I literally wanted the section of that box cap to reflect the section in the belt line molding on the cab, just so you just had this perfect lineup and sort of visual integration to the cab. So
And it all works
anyway,
so well in that truck.
So here's my story. So we're doing the all-new 2004 F-150, and it's got a carry-over box inner because of money, right? I want to save money. So
That's
the
tough.
box inner is carryover from the soft, we were just talking about.
which is a totally different
the
truck.
PN96, right? Well, when you put the carryover box in, now your carryover box, your carryover box inner is now it's going to dictate the size of the outer. So the inner was about 120 millimeters lower than the belt line in the truck. And I'm like, we can't, like, it looks stupid. It doesn't line up to anything. So this is the beauty of, being in the studio, working with clay model. Sometimes you can show things to kill them. And that's what we did. So we did a clay model of this, like the blue one, in the box lined up perfectly to the belt line. It looked balanced and just visually looks integrated. And then we did one just like that, except the top of the box now is about 120 millimeters lower than what you see there.
With the door handle.
So it's not lining. Yeah, I guess you could argue maybe now it's indexing the door handle. And we had the two clays and the program manager at the time, the chief program engineer comes in, and he wants the inner. He doesn't want to pay for it, and we're pushing back. So we showed the two properties, and I mean the lower one just looked horrible. It just looked like you retrofitted this box that doesn't match the cab, and so we had them dynocked in red side by side, and we've pushed so hard that it's going all the way. At the time, it was Jack Nasser was our CEO, and so before Jack comes in, I'm taking the chief program engineer through it, and he just doesn't want to pay for it, and he doesn't see it, and I keep telling him, like, it's not working. Like, we got to raise the inner. This has got to end up, and he got so irritated at me. He had a folder in his hand. He threw the folder at me. So it's a passionate business.
Yeah, you got to stick to your guns.
And so that, it's like, okay, whatever. And then Jack Nasser, so this is our studios. They just rebuilt the design center, but the old studios, they were massive. And the two trucks were parked at the very end of the studio, and everyone's nervous, and they're waiting for Jack to come over and have this formal review. And so I think it was me and, I don't know, might have been Pat Schiavone, one of the truck directors. We meet Jack at the door. He comes through the door. He's standing at the door looking at the studio's really long. He's looking at the end of it. He can see the two silhouettes of the trucks. And all the teams waiting by the clay models at the end of the studio. And Jack's like, okay, so what am I looking at? I'm like, well, Jack, this, the first truck is the carryover inner. It's dictating the height of the bed. We want to raise the height of the bed so that it relates to the cab aesthetically. And he looks at it and he's like, oh, you got to do that. Yeah, you need to raise the box inner, and turns around and walks out. Like, that was the meeting. He didn't even walk over to the team. So now the team's furious. But yeah, in the end, we got what we want. We won that battle. So that was one. The console, the drop belt, I know. But at the time, that was on the Super Duty, and man, there's a lot of chatter about, hey guys, don't you think you're stepping on toes of Super Duty? Like, we need to separate it, and no, we thought, it could be a signature for the truck. So, again, I am tooting my design horn a bit, but no, design, we're passionate about this stuff, and we pushed hard on it, even when, people didn't, and with Ford, you get a lot of opinions from people outside of design, and, sometimes they just don't like something, or, and we just, it's like, yeah, well,
It is the drop belt thing is, I'm from somebody that's driving their very first F-150, and it has a drop belt line. It definitely looks good stylistic wise as you come. It's been around for 20 years now, 20 plus years, but the ergonomics on the inside and how it does with the mirror and your controls, and like it feels good. I came from nothing but Sierras for years before, and you did something when you don't think about it until you're living with it, and you're like, man, it's.
So it was a little controversial on the 150. So do you know the story about the drop belt and the Super Duty?
So you can get the mirror lower. So
the Super Duty, when they separated, F1, there's always, started out, I have a 1950 F1, right? And then that started the nameplate, right. And then F100, and then, F150, and then F250, right? And so this was always the 1500 truck, and then the Super Duty was always the heavier truck. But they looked the same until, was it the mid-90s where they did they separated the look of the Super Duty, and it
would be the 97 changeover, right? When they went to the slant nose, or 96. When they went to the slant nose, then they changed the new F-250.
Maybe that was it. And when they divorced the two aesthetically, that door on the Super Duty came off of it was the semi truck, the big Ford semi truck we built. That was the carryover door.
Really?
That they put on the Super Duty. So, which at the time, and I wasn't in truck at the time, but that was, when you're telling designers, hey, we're like, you got to carry over this part. No, designers never want this like carryover part, right? They want to design their own thing. That was a big deal. Yeah, I think that's it.
98.
That's the first. Is that the first gen?
I think they carried over the square F-250.
So that door, if you go to is it the 6000? What's the big? It's still the front engine truck. It's not the cab over, but it's the big boy.
Like a 650, 550, 650.
The 6C something 6000. The big. the thing that like tows semi trailers. I can picture it. I can't remember the name of the. Anyway, that's the carryover door.
Really? I always looked at that the other way. I figured that when they were doing those big trucks, they were just putting like big front ends on the truck cab parts, the small, like the 250.
Well, and again, that door was designed for that big truck, and you're right. It was so that, you know, those things are so big and you're sitting up so high, it's so you can like see the mirror and sort of look down and see, you know, part of the front fender. Is that it there?
F600 from 97.
Yeah, can you
Yeah, I'm trying to find it. That's still the square body.
yeah.
But they had
No,
one.
what is the white one? That second shot, is that it?
That's still a square.
No.
For the
Okay.
next year,
Oh.
98.
Anyway, so yeah. But yeah, I mean, back to the drop belt. I mean, I talked to, you know, guys at GM and Stellantis, and they're, you know, they like, that's a kind of a big deal. You know, it's a.
Oh, it's iconic. That
I mean, Nissan now is starting to pick it up a little bit on their trucks.
Yeah, 98 F600 is the first year it went to that. Huh. That's wild that they did that.
Yeah. Anyway.
So moving through, where does the first rumors or notification or anything that this GT project is happening?
So I'm not even in the country, and I'm in Australia at the time, and I'm hearing things, or they're looking at doing this. I think it was like Project Silver. They were looking at modifying a Mustang, and it was really. I really think it was, or at least the one of the players that had a pretty big voice at the time. It was Raj Nair. He was the product planner at the time. I believe, and again, I wasn't even in the country, but I hear he went to Bill and said, "Hey, you know, we need to do something for the 50th anniversary of Ford, you know, beating Ferrari at Le Mans, or, you know, 2016 was going to be the 50th anniversary." So they started looking at modifying a Mustang, and they were just going to have to do so much to it, and it was just going to cost a fortune, and they weren't getting the performance and everything they wanted out of it. And I don't know exactly how it prevailed, and then it turned into Project Phoenix, and then that sort of became basically an all new vehicle, and then it was, well, why don't we just recreate, you know, the Ford GT, right?
And this is what, 2 years out from Le Mans?
This is no, it's more, because I came back. So Le Mans was 2016 was the race, June. I came back in 14. I came back in the middle of 14, so I came back and took the North American exterior design director job. So I had everything that's, and from an exterior standpoint, coming out of North America, and GT was you know, one of 20 projects. So it was, when I came back, it was already, I mean, they had already, proportion was laid out. Engineering was laid out. Packaging was pretty much settled down. I mean, there were, a million detail. It didn't have any lights or
right.
No details at the time. But so no, and again, I'm kind of guesstimating here. I'm sure they started to talk about it probably around 12. Realistically, probably that's when maybe they were kicking off Silver and experimenting with what they could do with Mustang to make that happen, and then realized they weren't going to get there.
I mean, there's so many questions I've got around that. Design wise, for sure. I think you would like to talk about that, but there's on the production standpoint and the amount of people involved, the team on the design side, the team on the production side. We had Jeff Clark on from Roush, and he talked about how much Roush's involvement was on getting things ready, and obviously everybody knows Multimatic, and their involvement. There's a lot of cats to wrangle in a project like that.
It is, but it's really just on a bigger scale of what we do here, right? When you get into a project, you're hitting Justin at Dakota for the gauges, and Mark Bowler is going to do the trans, and Casey Wegner is going to do the you've got your network. It seems very similar.
Yeah, you just got to do
it's just a much bigger
500 of them, and you got to go win the biggest race ever because you're talking shit.
It's the same concept. It's the people that are in your network.
Yeah, actually, GT was. I don't want to say I'm not good. I don't want to say it was easy, but it was very streamlined. It was very different from typical Ford production programs. Number one, no research, so no marketing. So when you don't have research or marketing or
trying to dictate anything,
a billion opinions on what this thing needs to look like, you're like, I mean, you are streamlining it already. Multimatic engineered it, so in Multimatic they're racers. Larry Holt, I mean, he's a racing legend. A number of times he's been to Le Mans. Who knows? And talk about like connections and networking. I mean, he knows the global race community. So, he was on board to, and that's a whole nother universe, right? When you want a certain transmission, the people that build the transmission, are you going to be working with this oil company? And it's all this, it's networking, and it's all interconnected. And Larry was the right guy to do that. I don't know if Ford could have done all of that. So in some ways, and then just the people involved at Ford, it was a tiny team. We had the designers. We had keys. It was done in the Skunk Works in the basement. It used to be like a storage area, like horrible space, like zero windows in the basement. It would flood when it rained. But so it was very secretive. But they had there was a mill and a plate down there, 2 plates. So we could do all the clay models, interior and exterior. We could mill back immediately. And then we just, because it was such a streamlined team, that's how the press didn't know about it until we released it in Detroit in 2015. We would have design reviews outside. We would do it late. We'd wait till everyone left. We'd cover the car. We'd put like cardboard boxes on the clay so it disguised the silhouette of it when they pulled it up into the hallway. Even people in Design Center, they kind of knew there was something going on in the basement, but didn't know exactly what was happening. So, when you do that, when you're cutting out like 3/4 of the team, and then you don't have marketing involved, you're working with this, a company like Multimatic. That's what they do. They build race cars. They're carbon fiber experts. So that, the whole car is carbon fiber. It was an extremely streamlined program, and happened really, like it happened in half the time a normal production.
Have you cut out finance too at that point? Because it's just, it's going to...
that's a funny one. I don't know, because, we'd always, I'm not sure. I mean, I remember, there's a budget, but I don't know. It just seemed like, Raj. So Raj was, he was our product boss at the time. Raj is a racer. He's very passionate about racing, has a long racing history, and the whole I mean, there were certain things like we would cut out because finance but with the GT, it was so focused, and we knew it was, we're going back to Le Mans in 16 and we want to win. That was the goal.
That's the same philosophy back from the 60s again.
Yeah.
You're building a car to win Le Mans.
Yeah.
So don't tell me that we got to use another wheel, or we got to cut some corners here for money.
So, and Raj will, he'll tell you, well, it's a race car. Like, that thing was designed in the wind tunnel, and yeah, I mean, we obviously spent a lot of time in the tunnel, a lot of time around, air management is very important on a race car. I mean, there was so much time in terms of aerodynamics and air management that went into the bottom of the car and the top, right? I mean, they spent just as much time below what you don't see. It mattered. I mean, it was basically designed, engineered, and built to do one thing, and that was to go back to Le Mans and win. And it just so happened, because of the class, the GT class, we got a road car out of it. So, and that's what companies do now, right? When they go back to racing, and it's a class where it has to be a production car instead of, and I think that's the issues they were having around Mustang, right? Instead of taking a production car and making it a race car, you design a race car,
make it a production
and then
car.
you figure out how to make it road legal, and that's what the GT is.
How do you set the guardrails on something like that, like some boundaries? Because with all the resources, all the technology, you can pretty much create anything. Like, if you look at a Koenigsegg, I think is the car that pops in mind to me. Like, that car, they seemingly just do anything they could possibly dream up.
Yeah.
How do you put a ceiling on it to?
Well,
to
I think
not
for
finance
Ford,
department.
yeah,
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, well, I think there were a couple of things with the GT program and the GT40 history at Ford. So again, from a design standpoint, I feel like so Camilo Pardo and Bill Mangan, and there's a whole great team that worked on the 0506 car, and that car really was a tribute to the original GT40. That car was all about sort of looking back and bringing back that heritage and that look, and just that that golden period of Ford racing. But what's interesting is I feel like that car sort of enabled the new car to go in the opposite direction and to push the envelope from what's next. Like, we don't want to look back.
Yeah,
having said
fulfilled that already.
But there were things we still wanted. We wanted the car, when you saw it for the first time, we wanted people to still recognize it as a GT40. So there were,
Y'all did that.
there were a certain, I call them aesthetic attributes that we picked from the original car that we want. The shape of the like the way the headlights are executed on the surface, the header kind of peaks at its height and then it sort of drops from there. The rear haunch, the giant air outlets in the front, So there were the round tail light. So there were elements that we definitely wanted to integrate into the new car, but we wanted the new car. It was all about looking forward as opposed to looking back like the 0506 car was.
Yeah.
The motor was dictated really early on, right? The motor was this. We're going to build it around this motor.
Yeah. motor was laid out very early on, and then to some, you guys had a comment about, well, what's keeping you guys from not like going like pie in the sky, and again, it was part of it was Raj. Raj is he's run a ton of programs, so he knows the financial side of things. But he's the race car guy. So, it was all about, it was, kind of, we were talking about F-150. It was functionality. It's like, hey, do we need this? Is it going to improve the race car? And if it is, we're going to do it. And, so it was, have you guys had a GT4? Have you, or the GT, the latest? Have you had some time around the?
We've had some time around it. We've never
driven one.
Driven. It's it's a great car. I love it. I'm biased. It's a spaceship.
They gave everybody on the design team one, right? Obviously, when it was over.
Oh,
They just handed them out like candy.
Yeah, here you go. Yeah.
No,
There you go.
Oh yeah. Like candy. No, it's a beautiful, it's pretty radical looking car, but it's pretty straightforward. Like the interior, like it's very, it's functional.
What's the roof height?
God, I used to know that. Is it
less than 40? Or
no. It's I think it's like, is it 43?
Okay.
Something like that. Yeah, it's pretty low.
Who did Ford sell the GT40 rights to?
I don't know. Is it who's the company? I've been to the.
Is it Superformance?
Is it Superformance?
Maybe. I've been to their shop in California.
Yeah, so old Lance
awesome.
is responsible for not being able to
Not being able to call it a GT40.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it'd be
Well
a
played,
GT43,
Lance.
wouldn't it? I mean, ultimately.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it was, again, the project was already going when I came on, and at that level, I'm design directors. You're orchestrating. You've got teams of young, talented people that are doing the sketching, and they're awesome. So you're kind of guiding and pointing things out, and
But that had to be an even doing that, even just leading a team, right? That had to be a very unique experience and an exhilarating experience. But you talked so much about it was function. Does this help the race car? Does this help us win? Does this aid in the wind tunnel? Does this do this? It's a completely different mindset than you've ever been involved in any design before. For
You're
cup holders here or something like that.
Concentrating on the lifestyle of the King Ranch.
Yeah,
because you're catering to each lifestyle on other models.
yeah.
And
But
this
then
one,
you do have
so much.
it's a race car and we do have to win. The road car, well, do we do cup holders? Do we don't do cup holders? Like, what's the ergo of the switches and what's some of that stuff? It's got to be an interesting.
Yeah. No,
I would assume.
Yeah, and that's all part of it. I mean, that's all baked in, and the people that design it and develop. I mean, we know that, right? And we had to hit all those requirements. And the road car does have a cup holder. The console's like that wide. It's like
And it comes out from the cup holder.
Yeah.
Is there more pressure being involved in a car like this that needs to be that iconic versus something like an F-150? Or F-150
vice
got to hit
versa.
sales numbers that have to be, $1 million a year, where they're going to sell 20 a year?
Yeah, it was such a different animal. Again, it was all about going back to Le Mans and winning. And then there's this time limit. So, the pressure was really on to, so the car, it debuted at Daytona in January. That was like the first race out of the box, and it didn't do, like, they couldn't, I think the door kept opening, and it's just this fresh car, right? And it's supposed to like run 24 hours in Le Mans like 6 months later. So there was just a lot of pressure around, you know, getting it right and going back and winning. You know, I think from a, you know, being iconic, I just think, you know, the proportions and I think we, you know, we sort of knew it's going to be iconic. It's, you know, I mean, you know, I mean, to me, you know, it's a little bit like, you know, real estate, right? It's location, location, location. To me, design is proportion, proportion, proportion. And, you know, when you've got a car that's, you know, 43 inches high and, you know, the right size wheels and tires and the right amount of overhang and balance of glass graphic to body, you know, I mean, it's like, it's awesome proportions, right? It's beautiful.
Those are cars it's crazy. There's a couple of them out there that do this, but that one in particular, you can see it in pictures all you want to. You can walk up to it at a show and be all around it, you know, touch it, feel it, look at it, stand back from it and look at it. It's the surprise appearance of it when you're not expecting it.
Yes.
There's been times where you turn around or you're on the road, you're driving, you're something like that, where it's a surprise, like it's there and you weren't expecting it and you see it. That's when the chills go. That's when you're like, oh, fuck. Yeah. I remember there's been a couple of times.
The one in Vegas.
The one in Vegas. Yeah. That was just one of those moments. We're coming out of Courtney Hansen's party. Actually going into Courtney Hansen's party at the Mob Museum in downtown Old Vegas. We're walking in and we turn around and a new GT's pulling in, right? Oh, wow. Him and his wife, and they're pulling. And it's one of those things where you're not expecting it and it just hits. Yeah. You're like 12 feet away from it. It's kind of coming up a hill. Eye line's right. The sound's right. The light's right. And there's been all those times where
we were like three little kids.
Yeah.
You're like, you know, like
it's just it's a completely different thing than
that
like
first, second reaction. Like that's proportion.
Yes.
That's I'll never forget when 22 years old, I get sent to Italy for the first time, right? And like I am freaking out, you know, the food, the fashion, the girls, the car. I mean, just everything. It's just like,
right.
Where have I been? You know, like, oh my God, I'm living my best life right now. And I will never, ever forget the very first time I saw a Lamborghini Countach on the Autostrada. And my second reaction was like I'm looking at a car without a greenhouse because it was so low. Yeah. You know, you like in the, you know, the interesting thing about the Countaches, which I kind of love that car. And the new Lamborghinis, there's something about
y'all two are two peas in a pod.
Like, yeah,
no, it's just that's what you're supposed to do.
So it's the combination of it's the slanted windscreen, but it's the amount of tumble home that's on the side angle of the glass. They call that tumble home.
Okay.
Right? So like an F-150 has like upright tumble home, right? It's a box. It's a brick. Yeah. A Lamborghini Countach is like it's like this, and when you like first see it, you know, it's just the proportions are so radical.
It's a shock to the system.
Yeah, it's like again, my brain was like did someone like chop off the greenhouse?
What happened?
Yeah. Oh shit! Oh, it's a Countach, you know. Yeah. So again, that's proportion. That's what you're first seeing. That's why when vehicles that, you know, companies are trying to save money and they carry over all this stuff, and when they don't change the underpinnings of it, they're not changing the proportion. So when you don't change the proportion, to me you're not getting the newness, the freshness out of it that you could.
But the second gen GTs do the same thing, the 0506, like, but that's proportions, and then it's the throwback too. So then it's like, it's isn't that the old one? Oh, it's the new one, but it's it's low. There's that. I don't know if you've ever seen one of those. They're just crazy.
They're pretty cool. Yeah, pretty cool cars.
Do you like the 0506 car?
That's somebody's favorite.
My favorite car.
This guy right
I love it. There was a lot of I mean, I have colleagues and friends that worked on that car, and when I was in Australia, I was keeping my eye. I wanted to buy one. I mean, I love that car. I still want one, and I kept looking at them.
It was a brief window about 7 or 8 years ago.
2008.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in Australia when everything was
now.
burning down. That's when I bought a Model A hot rod and shipped it to Australia because
I was going to get into that story, how that
everything
happened.
here was, melting down, right? And I'm being paid an Australian dollar. Now the Australian dollar's taken over the US dollar, so it was a crazy time. But yes, I'm watching GT prices, and I really wanted one. And then I ended up coming back working on the new one. And it's like, well, God, I have to have a new one. I'm working on it, right?
Yeah.
I never worked on the 05 car, but
There's got to be some Ford employee pricing on something like that, right? Do you have a new one?
I have a new one, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so then you don't need the old one.
There-
Like
there-
the new one.
there-
That's a
there-
used car. That's
there
an
is
old
an
car.
employment. There is an employee pricing.
It was what the price was.
Yeah.
What color?
But, black.
Is there anything special about yours? Did you?
No.
Or it's just a.
No, it's pretty basic. I optioned up the carbon trim and then the harnesses or the brackets for harnesses if I want to track it.
You're going to keep that car,
I
right?
think that's it. Depends who you talk to.
I know.
I think
Your
my
wife?
My wife has it already sold.
We would like a vacation
No,
home.
I don't. Mean, I don't know. We
The other
we
You
have
think
so
about
many
trading
other
for your
things
Raptor?
going on at the moment, and I've got more cars in garage space at the moment. So
But there was another designer that was on it. He sold his. What was the what was the other one that was on the GT? He sold the maroon one.
Murray Callum,
Murray, yeah.
yeah, he sold it.
When do you find yourself using that car? Like, what is that like a fair weather, just beautiful day?
That's the problem. I mean, part of it is, it's not at the house. I don't have a 2-car garage.
He drove it over here, dude. He just doesn't transport.
Yeah.
when he's running Uber.
I'm not using it. I have, I've driven it up north. I've taken it on some road trips, but I just,
How many miles are on it?
I think there's I think I've got 1,500 on it now, 15 or 1,800, something like that. Yeah, it's low.
It's got to be an awesome
not
driving
using it.
experience.
You know what? I love it, and it's a pretty cool car. It's just, you got this thing sitting there, and just, there's a lot of money sitting there,
Yeah.
tied up, right? So,
We missed our one opportunity. We have a customer he's no longer with us, George Poteet. I'm sure you know the name.
yeah.
And he had one. George, everything of George is just a little bit
Yeah.
elevated, right? So his was custom painted.
Yeah.
But we did a photo shoot with that car and a similar color palette on a second gen Camaro that we did, and George green lighted, just take the car, do whatever you want with it. But it was raining like crazy. I didn't make it to the. You were there.
Yeah, I got to see it drive around a whole bunch.
Yeah,
but
but
it was a take it on the
rain-
track. Let's see what it'll do. Get some good pictures, and it just rained
Rain killed
nonstop.
it.
So it was
That's too
there, like you could touch it, but
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had mine out in the rain.
You
Other
got
than
to
that,
drive
I
it and
don't
enjoy
know.
it.
It's not going to melt.
Honestly, I think it reflects poorly on Scott. I think for not having one. Wait, don't you think?
It does.
Yeah. We've got a customer that's got some really good stuff, and he doesn't have one of those.
No.
I feel like he should have one.
knock them down.
Yeah. Yeah.
The thing is, this is what you got to tell him. He's got some really nice stuff that's easy to get. He needs a nice
That's
thing
right.
that's hard to get. And that's hard to get. I mean, anybody could go buy a couple of Lambos.
Right.
But what is the project or vehicle that you have worked on? And it may be the GT and completely understandable. What's the one that you've got the most personal connection to for whatever reason?
That's a good one. Yeah, I mean, you started to go there. Working on the GT was, that's like every car designer's dream, right? I mean, it was just a magic time. Team was great. Small team. Everyone was so focused. It was just great energy. They rebranded Ford Performance at that time, and there was a real, Raj was our product boss, and he's a race car guy, and he he could be tough sometimes with the design team, and he's of course he's very opinionated, but he green lighted the program. I mean, he made it happen, which is great, and he drove the team hard. So there was just a lot of great energy. We'd work late, and we just absolutely loved it. And then we'd all go out to eat afterwards, and it was awesome. It was just a magical time. So that was great. Working on the 2004 F-150 was pretty special, only because you work on this thing that there's like 900,000 of these things on the road.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, you're making such an impact.
Right.
So that was big. That was great. Ranger was another one. I mean, being global, and I had the opportunity to go to multiple launches: South Africa, Europe, Asia. That was pretty special.
Do you notice, say the 2004 F-150 or these other? Do you notice those vehicles, trucks on the road more than you think normal people notice them because you were so familiar?
Oh yeah.
Like it's not just cars. It's just like, oh, there's another one. I remember that.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, I remember that.
Is that ever a problem with you and your wife? Is she ever like?
I'm right here. I'm right here. Kelly's a designer, so she gets it, and Kelly's awesome. Like, she puts up with me.
Now, were you married with all of this globe trotting and world traveling?
No, I started very late in life. I was almost 50 by the time I got married.
That makes sense.
I would have been. I was too
career focused.
Yeah, I wouldn't have. I was in an industry where, I was surrounded by divorce. Like, everyone around me was getting a divorce, and I'm working with these older clay models. Like, kid, don't ever get married. And I don't know. It kind of, I guess it had an impact on me. And I was so passionate. I was so, I was a workaholic. Like I said, I would, they told me, like, hey, can you be in Germany next week? Yep, and I'm gone. I couldn't have done the things that I did if I was married with a family.
But you just wouldn't have been married long. I mean, you could have done them.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, I don't know. Everyone says,
story.
you don't, it'll happen when you meet the right one. And it sounds corny, and I never believed in that.
It's 100% true.
And then I met my wife at Ford, actually.
That's awesome.
And she's great.
What design department is she in, or what's her?
She was color materials, and we met. We were with different people at the time, and then I'm getting ready to go to Australia, and then I go to Australia, and then we find ourselves single, and I'm coming back to Detroit, and we're having a relationship, but she's here, she's in Detroit, I'm in Australia, and then not long after, she took a job with Nike. She moved to Portland, and so we did long distance for a while, and then we got married, and then she moved to Australia, and we were there. And we were there together for about a year, and then the design director promotion brought me back.
It's got to be hell picking out wallpaper at the house, between the two of you guys. How does that work?
We don't have wallpaper.
Just paint color, carpet.
Just leave it neutral.
It's so funny because
All
everyone
white,
asks us
everything.
that. No, we're actually we're like, it's crazy how compatible, because she's very she's very Miss Zen and like clean and super simple. I'm pretty like industrial, cold.
Okay.
I've seen
concrete,
a good bit of your
steel,
art.
Glass. Yeah, there you
So
go.
I can-
That says it all.
You did
Yeah.
the basement, and then
But-
she did the powder room and
Yeah,
everything
but
upstairs.
I don't know. We sort of like it. I think it. I don't know. Our
Balances.
tastes, like it. We meet in the middle.
That's
and it
cool.
balances. Yeah, it's good.
Really cool.
We're going to get into the Model A because I wanted to know.
Yeah.
So this,
Like when I see your car collection, the things you're interested in, if I just had like a lot more talent, I could have been him. I mean, I've got a 29 Model A coupe, like
you do?
very similar style.
Oh, cool.
And
Is it here?
No,
It's
it's
in the
not.
shop? Oh.
Back home, but that's
Cool.
a rad hot rod that
Yeah.
you've got. It's just the talent thing. That's all missing.
God, I love that car.
both, there's so many similarities. Just sticking your
Smoke
foot in your
bombs.
mouth, smoke
Yeah.
bombs. He has a
designed the
GT.
GT.
You,
You didn't.
don't.
Like a GT. But yeah, that's a good looking hot rod. Really good looking hot
You
rod.
buy this in 08 and ship it to Australia.
Yeah. Sight unseen. My dad's like, "What have you done?" Like, my dad was always like, like call on an ad, go to look at the car, kick the tires, take it for a spin. I'm on the other side of the planet. I see this thing online. It was on the Ham.
Oh yeah.
Dangerous.
And I buy it sight unseen. I'm calling this guy. He's in Washington State, and I buy it. And then my dad's like, "What have you done? Like, have you lost your mind?" And now it's the nut. So I ship it over, and I get a call from the dock. It's like ready for pickup, and the night before I'm going to go to the dock, I get a trailer from a buddy, and I'm going to drive to the dock, pick this thing up. I don't sleep. I'm like, what? Like, there could be like a million things wrong with this thing. Like the chop could be off, and I just went through this, like, what have I done? And then I go to the dock, and it's sitting there, and it's just like, yeah. I mean, I did a million things to it. I did a lot of little things that, people, I've changed things millimeters and tweaked and finishes, and I've changed almost everything on that car, but it's the bones, like the chop's the chop, the channel. I changed the attitude a little bit, but it's got a 4-inch channel. I redid the radiator so I could drop the grill shell and the hood, just give it. I wanted it. It looked like the hood was sort of riding up toward the front.
Yeah.
It drove me nuts, so I redid all of that.
I think it looks good.
Did it come with the wide fives?
It did. It had the 36 caps on it, and it's funny. I took the caps off when I took it to the Race of Gentlemen, and
Good move.
yeah, and I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, what? Like, what? Why did I take these things off early? Like, these
Never
are
went
awesome.
back on.
Yeah.
So then I painted the hubs to match the block of the motor, and I love I love that car. It's not a, it's a hot rod, right? It's not a, you don't get in it and like
a bar
take
hopper.
it on curvy road. It's like driving a tractor.
That's what I tell everybody about mine. It's
Driving a
It's a tractor.
It's a tractor.
Yeah.
But there's something about it. I just love the rawness and the sound of so my dad had a 40 Ford Coupe that had a Mercury flathead in it. And that was my introduction to flatheads and the sound of a flathead. And
We've had this exact conversation yesterday. We're looking to buy a 40 Ford.
Yeah,
I said we should
flathead.
do the wide fives on it. He said we got to do a flathead. They just
straight
sound so
pipes.
cool.
Nothing sounds like
I
a
love
flathead.
it, yeah.
Nothing sounds like a flathead.
I love it.
I mean, dead dog slow. But man,
Yeah.
they
It
sound
looked
good.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
It looks cool. Flathead with a 3 on the tree. It's a fun, with straight pipes.
So
it's a fun motor.
I know you guys. Did you guys interview Dave Shooten
Yes.
a while back? Dave's great.
We're going to be going out here before the end of the year to his place, and we're going to do
have
another
you
one.
been? Have you
No,
been? Oh,
this will be the first time, but we're going to do the interview.
Dude.
We're going to do it back again there.
Disney World.
That's what I keep hearing.
It is mind blowing. But Dave's funny. Dave's like, why would I spend all this money on these motors to go slow? like he just doesn't get it, you know.
I love,
Which I get. I mean, I get where he's coming from.
We've been telling
right?
Mike Herman he owns H&H Flathead.
Yeah.
He's a good friend of ours. We've been telling him that for 20 years. We
Go
bust
to
his
a
balls all the
junkyard,
time.
get a small block, pull 3 plug wires off, and stick
But again,
Yeah.
it's the
I know.
But damn, is it cool.
to bring it back full circle, like we talked about at the very beginning of the OEs, like working together. Flathead's got the sound and it's got the look. It just can't have the power. Chevrolet was like, all right, you can look good and sound good, but you just can't make no power. Small block, we're not going to look that great. We're going to sound okay, but we're going to make way more power.
Anyone doing a flathead conversion kit for an LS so you can just put flatheads on it?
It'd be hard to really sell that one.
There's there's something about a Flathead, especially in a Model A or
Is that like a 39 box in it, or what's the trans
It's
behind it?
it's a top loader. I think it's 39.
Yeah.
Could it be 36?
Could be, yeah.
There's a lot. I say that because there's a ton of 36 parts. It's got a 36 dash. Wheels are 36. I think it's a 36 top loader.
you're wanting a 40. A 36 coupe would be.
It'd be badass.
That's-
There
36 Roadster.
Is a
That's my,
killer one on the Ham right now. Original paint, black.
A coupe?
36 coupe. 22 grand. Reasonable
Really?
money.
36.
Beautiful. Like the perfect car to do a Survivor out of.
The remember Cole Foster's.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Cole Foster's car.
That was the
that-
Roadster,
it-
right?
No, he had a
The
coupe.
The car he built for the
Maybe I'm
Metallica
thinking
guy.
of a different one.
Yeah,
Is that the one
Yeah.
I'm thinking of?
yeah.
It's not James, is it? I thought it was.
No, it was.
Lars.
We can just
No,
look
not
it up.
Lars. I thought the other guy, I can't. I can't.
Those are the
remember
only
his
two I
name.
know.
But I really like Cole's work.
It's just
so
so
timeless and
subtle.
simple.
Yeah.
Jesse James is doing redoing his 48 to 54 Chevy truck right now.
Yeah.
That he's swapping it on our chassis. But
Kirk Hammett.
That's
it's
it.
a good looking truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's putting that on our chassis?
The truck, the pickup. Look up that. It's 48 to 54. They're all the same. But it was Selena's.
Oh, it's for Cole Foster.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
He
his,
built the
red
truck
one?
originally.
Yeah, he's putting it on chassis. I saw that the
How
other
many?
day.
Can I ask you how many chassis are you guys selling a year now?
All of them.
yeah, there's a lot of them.
It's
probably
awesome, man.
Getting to
1,200.
Yeah, you're getting a little past 1,200.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Do you have competition?
I mean, there's other guys out there doing it. We focus on what we're doing. So
Yeah.
I don't necessarily view them as competition. They might
Yeah.
view us as competition.
Yeah.
But we build our thing, and there's some other guys out there doing it too.
Yeah. Yeah, you got it is. It's like the LS thing. It's like, just like Roadster shop. It's like that. It's like turned into a buzzword almost.
That's good. That's the way we want. That's the way we want it.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I mean, there's nobody that's been able to do. I mean, again, we're tooting our own horn a little bit, but the passionate skill and craftsmanship at volume,
Yeah.
the engineering in for a scale, but also be able to pivot and do a completely custom one-off, no matter what it is that the customer wants,
Yeah.
and do it at the volume that we do. And there's nobody even comes
The width of product line.
the width of product line, and
Yeah.
I mean, we pride ourselves on.
From if you want to
Meeting
show
everybody.
I like doing cool stuff.
if you want to show the cool stuff in the width of the product line, go to our latest social media post because as a designer,
Oh, this will be
might
right
be
up your
the-
alley.
this will blow his mind. This is pretty.
Sure, I'm sure he's going to love it.
This is
It's a
pretty-
Ford. It's a Ford.
It is a Ford. So we just did a chassis for this. Really. We did.
Cool.
And it's, yeah.
What's even wilder is the guy that painted that. We found this story out when Eddie was on here. The guy that painted that had to hurry up and do it in a weekend to get to California because he was the designer of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So he had to get out there and start his new job.
Got it.
So there's the six-wheeler chassis.
There's that.
Wow.
What was the final length on that thing?
Long.
Long.
You guys have a designer on your team?
We do.
Yep.
Yeah, I wish wish I could introduce you. Chris Gray has handled our design stuff for probably 15 years now.
Cool.
A really talented guy. And anything like the renderings that you see that we do is it's all his handiwork. Not that one, unfortunately. That's a little out of his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
All right, we're going up to standard questions.
Yeah.
I did want to ask one thing, though, before we get to standard questions. You mentioned early on, I can get this thing to work, when you went for your first internship at the GIA studio, how your mind was blown, things were different. You were several years into school, university at that point. What was the first standout thing that was different? Was it ideology on design? Was it techniques on the design? We had Nikita from Oil Stain Lab on a couple episodes ago, and got a really crazy story of him and his brother, and they went over to Italy for design school at like 15 or 16 years old. Same kind of thing. Minds were blown on the Italian ideology on design. And man, I'm choked up thinking about it.
It's getting
No, I'm just choked.
Have you met those
Like
guys?
water.
By the way?
I'm
Crazy talented guys.
I don't know if I may have at one point in California. I feel like when I go to California, there's so many, there's so much happening out there, and you meet so many people. And then I used to work with Freeman Thomas, and Freeman Thomas he's the Porsche guru. He knows everybody, and he's constantly introducing me to people. So I may have met them. I can't remember if I met them. They were still early on. They just had sort of their
kind of
their
rod
Instagram
version of the.
They were. There was a lot, like they hadn't started anything physically yet.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I think you'd enjoy chatting with them.
Yeah.
I mean, a very, very talented.
Yeah, really cool
guys.
Cool stuff.
But back on, what was the takeaway there from traditional American design that you were being taught, and going over there for the internship?
So so my first internship was '94 at Chrysler. So I would like drive my dad to work at the GM building, drop him off, and then drive to Highland Park. All right. I'd be in his Chevy pickup, so I'd have to park way in the back of the non-Chrysler products. And it was they were great. Tom Gale, I can't say enough nice things about Tom Gale and John Hurlitz. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us. He was on the interior side. Those guys were such kind gentlemen. It's always a balance, right? When you're a designer, you have to be vocal, and there's times where a good designer is about like pushing back and pushing for what you believe in, and but there's this balance of sort of pushing back and sort of being the jerk in the room, but also try to be a good human. And those guys were that. Jack Telnick was that. These guys were class acts. But very conservative tie. Everyday white shirt. Guys like sleeping at their desks during the at lunchtime. It was
I think Chris should start dressing like
very. It was interesting. And then I go to GIA, and it was a little bit more laid back. You know, there was a language barrier. A lot of the clay modelers didn't speak English. You know, and at Chrysler they're taking coffee breaks, and GIA they're taking wine breaks, and the wine, like, they all made their own homemade wine and were drinking it right in the studio. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And then, then the process at that time, it was so different. So here, you know, we've been doing clay since the 30s. There, in the 80s, they weren't doing clay yet. They used this material called applewood. It was sort of like a Bondo. So they would mix it up. It would be soft, and then they would, you know, sort of slap it on, and then it would harden, and then they would sort of rake it down and sand it. And but it was hard, and it was, you know, to make changes wasn't easy. So. So there was that, you know, there was sometimes, like, you'd want to make changes, and the modelers don't want to make changes because it was, you know, it was this hard material that was, I mean, you have to, like, you know, clay, you just, you know, rake some away and then just add it on. I mean, you can do it in minutes. Applewood, you're having to, like, this stuff's rock hard, so you have to, like, chisel it off, and then you have to, you know, remake them. You know, it was a long process. So that was a bit different. The passion. Over there, I mean, the design directors there would be, like, screaming matches, and it's all in Italian. These guys are just screaming. They're throwing, like, rolls of tape at the model. They're just, you know, and then they go off and they get a cappuccino together, and everything's, like, fine, like nothing ever happened. So yeah, there were differences, you know, but again, it was, you know, it was so new to me, and
right.
I just ate it up. I loved it, you know, just the design history in Torino, all the carrozzerias, the, you know, Ital Design, Bertoni, Pininfarina, you know, they're all there, and you know, I had a chance to go to the Torino Auto Show back when it used to be, like, the show to go to, and all the new show cars from Ital Design, Giugiaro and Bertoni. I mean, all those guys, they were all there. They're all still living and presenting their designs. It was amazing to experience that.
That's pretty cool, hearing the stories. I can't imagine being that age, living your dream in that type of landscape.
I mean, the first time I went, I don't even think I was 21 when I first went over. I mean, I was young. So naive, wow. Right? But it just kind of blew me away.
What is it about their design that generated things like, you've got Lamborghini Miura, which came from a company that really didn't do anything beautiful until that, and then you've got, like, Chevrolet Corvair. What's the difference? How does that get to be so beautiful, so shapely, so iconic? Does something like that happen accidentally, or
where were you ranking the Corvair?
I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just taking, like, era. Chevette.
Okay.
Like, just saying, the American car of that era versus that of that era. You know, it's a. I mean, that's
a good question. I mean, I don't know. You could argue. I mean, the GT40 in a time was beautiful.
Sure.
I mean, I thought some of the, you know, not necessarily the production stuff. Although, you know, I mean, the early Corvettes were I thought, really nice. Some of their show cars at that time were, I thought, you know, beautiful. Even, like, you know, you mentioned Tom Peters or the Indy Vet.
Yeah, we talked about it.
I was in school when that car came out.
I built many models.
That was just, I mean, Tom, like, I didn't even know who Tom Peters was. It was just like this, you know, this myth, like these sketches of this, like, just this cool shape and these pit crew around it. It's just like, I mean, that guy influenced a generation of car designers.
There's so much.
Camilo Pardo, Sid Chang, myself, you know, Peter Lawless. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, that was our era of just like we would see these, and then the car styling book came out that had, it was the edition where they had all the sketches of the Indy Vet and the clay model, and it was just like, that thing was gold.
Yeah.
It was the Bible, and we just thought, wow. So I mean, I'd put the Indy Vet up there with, I mean, the Miura. Yeah, it's probably top 3. But
it's yeah. But it's funny though, like what you're saying though.
But I think the difference is like they got it in production.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think it's like, is it that there's some beautiful designs, but then they were concept cars. They never made it to production.
Yeah, and these guys did it. Like they.
Is it the lack
building
of
for a
red
lot
tape?
smaller audience too. Right?
Sorry?
They're probably building for a lot smaller audience.
Well,
on
yeah,
what
I
they
mean
need to
those. Yeah,
produce.
the units. Yeah, I mean those. I mean, how many mirrors did they build? I mean, it's not.
It's hundreds.
They're
it's not thousands. I don't think.
Hand built, right?
The what's funny and
You're probably also not seeing, or we're not seeing, any of the European economy cars that were
No,
of that
there's a
era.
lot
That
of junk. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
just seeing the glamorous stuff.
we could all be proven wrong on this statement. I'm sure, because there's going to be exceptions to this rule. The reason I said something about Corvair, because this would be an exception, right? Corvair kind of bucked that current GM styling of that era. But Miura, for example, and you can think about some other Italian designs and even some German designs, whether you like the design or not. Where I'm going with this is we talked so much about, from a Ford standpoint and a design standpoint, how much you're changing your crafting for the population that's going to be purchasing that, right? The local population you're going to be doing that. You can look at Tom Peters' stuff, especially the Indy Vet and a lot of the other designers of that era, and even some of the Ford stuff. There was so much space, NASA, current Americana, like inspired. Like you can almost see the drawing and be like, that's American.
Yeah.
Regardless if it's a production car. And then you can see others where you're like, that's Italian and got some sweeps, or that's German, that's Eastern European, that's got of that era. And I think things have changed now in modern cars, but you can almost, if you've been around it for this long, you see what I'm saying? You can almost get a little bit on the concept design stuff where you're like, that's got some Americana in it. Yeah. Like the way you do some of the rock. I mean, Harley Earl stuff was Americana and Jetson Space Age, but it was
It's cool.
The Russians were going to space too, but the Russian spaceship shit looked different than the American spaceship.
What are the Russians have some legendary? What are their most known foreign car design?
I think it's Yugo, right?
Not a lot, but what I'm saying is it's not because I'm saying you're not all space inspired.
Yeah.
It was American space inspired.
Yeah. I mean, back to your question, I don't know if I have the exact answer for it. My take on it is, at that time, you had these manufacturers, right? You had Fiat, you had, even Ferrari, right? Ferrari, Fiat. What are some of the other manufacturers over there? Alpha, thank you. Lancia. So they're manufacturing companies, but especially Italy had this unique thing where they had these they called them carterias, but they turned into these like design houses, right? You had Ital Design, Pininfarina, Bertoni. There's others that I'm forgetting, but and that's all these guys did was design, right? I mean, they their thing was we're going to pump out like beautiful designs, do a show car, and then we're going to offer them up to these companies to take them and then build them.
Okay.
And I think that could be the difference. So they're off separate, just doing their own thing. They're not worried about finance and marketing and all these other inputs that you're getting when the design team is part of the OEM. I think that's kind of my take on possibly how that happened.
Miura was not designed by Lamborghini. It was designed by, wasn't it a GIA?
I don't know who was responsible for it, honestly.
Well, it came out of didn't it come out of the Bertoni?
The Countach did.
Countach did, but wasn't it? I thought wasn't it Giugiaro? It was Giugiaro, who's the gentleman who passed not that long ago. Gandini. I'm not a historian of this stuff. It was a couple of these guys. I thought they were all at the time
Marcello Gandini
working at
Bertoni.
working
Bertoni.
at Bertoni.
Got it. And
But-
then
And I mean that's all these guys did, right? They their goal was to like do the most fresh, beautiful designs they could do. They weren't.
Yep.
Then it was up to the OE to figure out how to
they're
build
not-
it.
Yeah, they're not.
They weren't being
they're not
constrained by
thinking
that.
about like the,
Crash bumpers and-
like carryover parts and
They're-
finance.
They're not
and-
carrying over like the unibody from the Espada.
No,
You know,
they're not. Yeah, they're not. They're not being encumbered by anything.
right. That's a good point. That was kind of the answer. That,
Yeah.
you know,
I mean,
think-
that, again, I
think you
don't
answered
know.
that well.
I mean, that's my take on it.
Sure.
But there's something to be said for sometimes especially in car design, sometimes the stars just align
Yeah.
and everything
Like a song.
adds up.
It's like-
And
It's-
because
it's art.
if it was just about sheer talent, you would have way more bangers out there than you do. But it's not just about the sheer talent of designers, because I don't think any of the OEs are lacking in talent of designers
Yeah.
Sometimes
from
you just
the
have
last 100 years. But you think about some of the iconic Corvettes, and then think about how many Corvettes are just like, oh, it's fine. It's the next. It's
Right.
just the next generation. It's the new year. It's whatever it is. But you don't look back about them as the most iconic things.
70 Nova, for example, right? That Phil would agree is.
That's maybe not the best design.
No, I get what
You
you're saying.
get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like the Ford GT is a perfect example of like the stars aligned and it allowed, because everybody bought in and it was like, yeah, we're going to do the throwback, right? And we're going to
The 0506.
0506. And then it was hey, we're just going to win. We're going to win Le Mans, right? We're going to go back. We're going to do it to the performance. And you got, lots of other cars that have the stars aligned and just hit. There's stuff that just worked better than other stuff. It's not the fact that it's,
You're right.
oh, those guys just don't have the talent and everybody's fighting everything. I think that from the CEO down to even the consumer client, I mean, the consumer climate,
time you're building
the
the
time in the building the car like has a lot to do with it too. Like, oh yeah, they would eat this shit up, right?
Yeah.
It's time for it.
Well, look, I know you're pushing for standard questions, but while
Go
we've
ahead.
got you here, I've got to ask you this, because we're building a Pantera right now.
Oh, cool.
It's one of my favorite cars of all times.
Yeah.
And we're radically modifying it, but that was a GIA design.
Yeah.
What's missing what did they do wrong? What could be better? When you look at that car, it's a beautiful car. And what was the term?
What year do you have?
That's like 71. It's the
Okay,
chrome
so
bumpers.
It's the yeah.
What was the term you call when you referred to the way that side glass lays
tumble
in?
hump,
The tumble
angle
hump.
of the
Because that car's
side
got
glass.
that.
Yeah.
And it's striking, and
Yeah.
it's got the proportions.
Yeah.
The ride height was always terrible, so just
Yeah.
by fixing
Right.
that, but we've got some crazy
the
ideas.
ride height in it. It always the attitude was always a little funny, right?
It was like nose up,
Yeah.
but it was wedged.
yeah.
It's broken at the nose too, though.
Yeah.
The door run up and the nose go down.
Yeah.
But do you look at that car and do you see something, or I'm putting you on the spot, I guess, but
Pulling up.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a great car. I mean it's interesting how these cars, you look at them today and they're still considered absolutely beautiful, but you like the tire offsets, they're super deep inside the wheel. It's just like we would never, today it's all about getting the tire out, like getting the stance right and getting the
Yep.
sidewall of tire right at the sheet metal. And those cars, they, some of them just kind of ignored it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, the tire was like an afterthought,
But
sort of.
no, I mean, look at that thing. Things.
Yeah.
It's
It's a beautiful car.
cool. Just like I always love these early Italian cars. The earlier Corvettes did this a little bit, where especially that orange front 3/4 view you had up just a second ago. Like, I love how part of the rear end just sort of goes away.
Yes.
It's just all tire hanging
just
out.
terminates.
Yeah, I love that.
Our plans
But yeah,
to fill it up with like all the tire, like an Avon tire, like a little bit of GT.
So you're going to
40.
move the tire out to the
Tire out, a little bit of flare, but massive Avon
Yeah.
tires in the back. Like
look at that view. I just love that.
yeah, it's a good view.
The original GT40 was like that.
Yeah.
Sort of that sweeping rear end. Yeah, very cool.
Standard questions. You ready?
I'm ready. Brought to you by
Brought to you by HRE,
the Standard.
the standard. I hope Elliot takes
doing
care
good
of
with
the.
this.
Yeah,
We're good at this.
we're not doing good. We've done it enough though, and Elliot can put it in, because at the beginning of this, I didn't even say that this episode was brought to you.
You did
by
not. I
WeatherTech.
was thinking it. I wasn't going to correct you.
You should have corrected me,
I might need
because I did.
might need a break. So
Yeah, let's take,
we
let's
can do
take
a break.
and then we'll
Let's
pop back
restroom
to
break.
it. Best part. Standard questions.
Yeah, I think it's time for everybody to get a little refill
think
before
so.
we go into standard questions. Brought to you by the Standard and Wheels, HRE. See, that's how you do it.
Nicely done.
Nicely done. Here, I'll pour. Don't worry about it.
Been a while since
That didn't
Great
work.
job.
it's the table's fault.
Yeah,
Well,
cup
since
doesn't
we've
have enough
gotten into
weight.
that.
I don't know
Weller 12.
what's your problem with it? It's a glass, dude. You're throwing a glass just like haphazardly.
I don't do it on airplanes, so
I will. So we're gonna get into standard questions. I got one. I know I said that was it, but I got one more thing. I feel that it's very important to talk about, because if anybody at Ford or GM for that matter is listening, I think that either due to our own uneducated selves or naive or whatever, for a long time, we talked about this with Tom Peters, we talked about this with Ralph as well, us on the hot rod custom car building world felt like there was a massive sea in between what we do and what the OEs do, and we never really realized like that anybody was paying attention, right? Or there was, even if the designers were car guys, in the last 20 years. This podcast and the conversations we've had have been instrumental, but it's also been the kind of the backstory around the Ford Design Awards and the GM Design Awards, and at SEMA, what that meant to us and so many other builders to know. One, to get recognized is one thing, but then there was once you know that it was recognized because it's car guys recognizing cool cars and not just like a publicity stunt, right? Not just hey, it's a thing to put our logo on. There's so much validation, and so much, honestly, it's one of the like greatest moments of all of our careers of being able to be.
Design Awards.
Yeah, the Design Awards, because there's so much. Now, I will no offense to Adrian and everything she did with GM. Ford Design Awards did it just a little bit better, right? And
Because they didn't do it at 6:30 in the morning.
they
in
didn't, but they
Vegas.
also did a dinner at night, and
I'm not familiar with the GM award. I mean, I knew they did them, but I don't know how they.
They did it in a different way. It was great. It's still an amazing thing. There was just what you guys did at Ford with those Design Awards, the prominence there on the stage and the award, but then that dinner at night with just those winners, and I mean, you're sitting there with Bill Ford and people, and you're like, they actually give a shit. That's the thing that I don't, and it I just wanted everybody to know that it meant a lot. It means a lot, and
well,
kudos to you guys.
I mean, again, I'm not speaking on GM's half, but like from a Ford standpoint, I mean, we're passionate, right? And it's funny how, especially on the design side, we're kind of envious of what like you guys do, right? Because you're Probably not, right? You're working with a client, and the client has certain
It appeared we had a lot more
requests
freedom.
but it appears that you guys have freedom and an open checkbook, and you're just you're building your passion. I mean, that's
Phil's the finance guy here that says no, we can't do
That
that.
is not an open
Yeah,
check.
and I mean, and when I would go to SEMA, I mean, it was, it's always. I mean, again, I'm passionate about all this stuff, but also, some of the builds, God, they were so good. I mean, it was inspiring us. There were things they were doing. It's like, wow, this is.
Has there ever been something at SEMA that you saw and then that an iteration of that made its way into a production car later, whether it's just a line or a door handle or something like that?
I don't know if there's anything like that direct, but I was so the Rob Ida car,
Yeah.
the 39,
Yeah.
Yeah, Rob's
the
rocks.
fenders.
Mercury.
That, yeah.
So that car, yeah, I mean, that car just blew my head off. But the story, he took me through the car and explained how, it was a car, and I'm not like a theme car guy. That always kind of bums me out a little bit. But he had this story of Etzel not being happy with the way the 39 Mercury came out, and if he had his own way, and he did what he wanted to do, like this is how he would do it, and just how everything was like visually sort of period correct, like the engine and the materials he used, and I mean it was.
He did a phenomenal job.
I mean it's beautiful to look at, but then when he starts opening the hood and taking you through the motor and how the headlights work, and how you can access the the fenders and the tires and the I mean, he took me through everything, and I was just, I love that. I mean, it's one thing to build a, whatever you call it, a hot rod, a custom, a resto, whatever you call it, redo an older car and modernize it. But it was like he was going beyond that. He had this story, and then he was like really sticking to the story, and how, it was just like, he just took it to another level, and that car had a huge impression on me. A couple of, it was later on. It might have been the last SEMA I did. Some guy had a Maverick. And do you know that car, that like a white Maverick?
The light gray.
Light gray.
Yeah. There's some
And
dude.
I don't know about the guy that built it.
It didn't win a lot of other awards though. So
He's a good friend of ours.
A good friend of ours.
Did you not like that car?
No, we
It's
loved
a
it.
great car.
We loved it, but it came out at the same time as the car we did, and it beat us.
Oh, what
and
car
everything.
what car did you do?
We did a second-gen Camaro that had like flares, and it was kind of radical.
So you didn't do a Ford, right?
No, we didn't do a
Right.
Ford.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes,
Yeah.
that was it.
but it was a good car.
Yeah.
We're going to hear about this. Can we make a timestamp for Elliot to edit that out?
So Jesse doesn't hear it, and he's gonna get a big
Yeah,
head.
it's Jesse Greening.
Yeah.
Do you
No,
think Ford comes back in similar way that they used to at SEMA?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of out of the loop.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, did they come? I don't know. I mean, they're back, but I don't know if they've got like.
They're
I don't
not
think they
back,
have the
back.
space that
No.
they did, and I mean they dominated.
I know.
I mean and it was such a. I'm not a big Vegas guy, but I really like SEMA. I like SEMA. I love the passion, and I mean, I would tell everyone, you go to SEMA and you've got to get through like 20 bad cars before you get to a good one.
Right.
I mean that's
Yeah.
right. I
Yeah.
mean, there's some pretty
there's some
bad
rough stuff.
there,
Right.
right? And Vegas, I don't know. I've got like this love hate with Vegas, but at SEMA, I don't know, something about it. I just like that's one of the things I really miss, like since retirement. I mean, I know like the pandemic and it shut down and Ford kind of backed out, but and that all happened after I left. But I couldn't wait to like SEMA time. I don't know. I just really, I felt connected to the builders because it was just about passion. These guys are doing what they loved and putting their heart and soul, and so much time and effort went into these builds. And
well, I want you,
like awesome.
I want you and everybody that was involved to know that you guys really, you filled up the gas tank in so many customers, builders, so many people's lives that are in this industry that kept on pushing for just the hope of getting noticed, by the Ford Design Awards for the next thing. And I don't know Farley. From the outside looking in, it seems like he's about as car guy can get. I would have thought that they would be back to the same level that they used to be at SEMA by now.
Yeah.
But again, we're not in the finance department, and
Yeah.
it's a big lift, and I get it. But
that was always the coolest thing. I mean, it was like Michael Jordan, shaking your hand, saying "nice dunk" or something. Just
Validation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to hear. I mean,
It's one thing when
it was
your
like God
peers.
level,
It's one thing
but
when
yeah.
your peers tell you, but when
Yeah.
you hear that,
Yeah.
We'd put all the designers on such a insanely high pedestal. Like, you're never going to meet this guy. You're never going to talk to him.
Yeah,
There's
really.
a team of people that are like locked away, and then you get to meet him on the floor, and you're like, that's a average car guy, and holy shit, he knows who we are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
it's
saw
pretty
the
cool.
car. He pointed out something like,
well, especially, I mean,
That
you
was-
too, where it's like, oh, you're a hot rod guy. You got, Model A, and you got. It's not, it's. This when you meet, you could have differing opinions on so many different things, but if you're a car guy, you're a car guy. You
Yeah.
can connect on that.
Yeah.
Like, you might listen,
I mean-
completely disagree on politics, completely disagree on music
Yeah.
choices, completely disagree on
there
so many
are-
things.
There are car designers that, believe it or not, aren't, they're not that into cars.
I imagine. I mean, a job's a job at the end of the day, but
Yeah.
at the same time, it's great when you see that passion on that side,
Yeah.
and then recognize this. It's validation. That's the best way to describe it is validation.
Well, I mean, it was the same on our side. I mean, I was so inspired, and I'm not a builder, but I do know, I've been around, building show cars at Ford and just even my own stuff. I mean, I know exactly what goes into these builds, and it's not, not everyone can do this stuff. And what was so exciting about it is every year I just felt like the bar just kept getting raised, like year after year, and I just loved going and just having my head blown off, this, oh my God, this is just like next level. It was inspiring. I loved it.
Oh, maybe
Yeah,
they'll come back.
I'd love to see Ford come back. It's never the same. It always felt like you're walking out like on the Super Bowl field, because you'd round that corner into Ford's booth with the blue
Yeah.
wall and like the fresh carpet, and
Yeah,
it just
I know.
that's what it felt like.
I know.
And it'll never be the same without them there.
I felt so proud, like when
I'll
being
bet.
a Ford guy, and people were like, "Oh my God, like your boot," it was just a real high.
Right.
Right now it's Toyota. It's
Pretty
like,
awesome.
I mean,
Yeah, I've
can
heard.
we get some insider information on like what goes on in that glass
Oh, the little
cube
thing up
that's floating up there?
Oh yeah, that's like a conference room. So we used to go. That's
That's
like
the crow's nest.
I used to. So I would, present the awards, and I had help. I had a speech writer that would help me. Like I'd tell her what I want to say, and I'd give her the words, but then she would structure it for me, and so that's where we wrote all the speeches up there. It was like a conference room. Like, there's people there all week, but then they still have meetings, so they're on computers and having meetings back in Dearborn and
You got to do business stuff.
doing business stuff. Yeah, they do like interviews up there, and
Looking
Yeah,
for
like-
an award?
I forgot about that. The glass cube. It's like the floating glass
Yeah.
cube, right?
We're supposed to be doing a podcast from there one of these years, but we just haven't
cool.
been able to.
You can't land that.
No, I can land it. We just got to commit to doing it.
what we're talking about then.
Oh, look at
Yeah,
that.
look at that.
2016.
How about that?
That's awesome.
All right, standard questions. We're actually doing it.
Okay.
Can I fire away one last one? It'll be short and sweet, but
Yes.
it comes up. We were just having this conversation yesterday. We were traveling, and somehow the Chrysler Plymouth Prowler came up, and then we started talking. We're like, oh, the Prowler, and then there's what goes with the Prowler? There's the PT Cruiser, and then there was the Chevy SSR. What do you call that style of car, and why did Ford never dabble into that, like those goofy sort of cars? Like we look at it, it's like we kind of like poke fun at the Prowler,
Prowler, HHR, the
HHR,
SSR, right.
and the PT Cruiser.
PT Cruiser.
Yeah. But Ford never entered that.
Well,
like
you could argue the Thunderbird.
Okay, maybe, but the Thunderbird kind of had some pretty nice style.
Yeah.
Very representative of the
I
original.
think
You
It's
had
almost-
one, didn't you?
My mom
Your
did.
mom had one?
My mom had a teal one.
Yeah.
I think
Somebody had to go to New York and drive that home and get stopped at every single toll booth.
You did?
Yes.
Oh, people love. I drove it. A few people love that car.
The Thunderbird?
Yeah.
which one?
The Thunderbird.
Yeah. Teal.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
cool.
I don't know.
Tiffany
Yeah,
blue.
it was the whole like retro era, right? You know, Volkswagen reintroduced the Beetle.
Right.
Yeah.
The Mustang was a big, in that era, the Mustang was a
the
big
Mustang,
throwback.
You could argue
Yeah, but it
that.
wasn't
It was
like a
still
like a
cool.
goofy
Yeah.
kind of.
It wasn't
Well,
a shock and awe.
Well, I think that's. You mentioned goofy. I would say, and again, I don't want to.
Offend your
I'm
friends.
not speaking poorly.
He's all my.
There's
I've
an
got so
element
many
of cool
friends
about it.
He still lives in
working,
Detroit.
I still live in Detroit. No, but I would say that, maybe like they were almost like caricatures. You know, they were kind of caricatures of.
Yeah.
Like the PT Cruiser was like a. Like it's like an old Ford bubble fendered car. It just, I don't know. I mean,
It was purposeful. I think it wasn't like, I don't think they set out to sell millions of that, but it was a brand builder.
yeah,
it was
it's a
it's
niche,
people.
right?
Yeah,
It
it's,
hit- like my dad loved that car.
I think
My
they-
dad had he had the Chevy version. Is it the HHR?
HHR.
My dad had an HHR. It was like this throwback. It reminded him of,
Well, Casey Wagner's dad, I think they sold half of them.
Half the PT Cruisers to
to
him.
him. He was a PT Cruiser.
did he?
I think. Yeah.
He had a lot of PT Cruisers.
yeah.
The PT Cruiser wasn't horrible.
No.
The PT Cruiser just, if you take the bumpers that they made them put off, and it's just a street rod.
Yeah.
At that
Oh,
point.
you're thinking the Prowler.
I'm sorry, the Prowler. I meant
yeah.
I meant the Prowler. The PT Cruiser was
I
horrible.
just saw.
The PT Cruiser was
I just saw,
horrendous.
I just saw
I meant the
a
Prowler.
Prowler for sale the other day on the side of the street.
I would like to spend some time with one. I'm not.
So
I'm
you
not going as
Do you
far.
want the matching
You know,
trailer?
I wouldn't go so far as
it's
owning
so
one.
Funny
I wouldn't.
that
I'd like
you
to,
mentioned that because I mean I don't know if I would ever do this, but no, I'm surprised, and maybe I'm surprised someone hasn't taken a PT Cruiser. I mean a
Prowler.
sorry.
Yeah.
And literally gone through it.
Hellcat.
Yeah.
Like,
I just saw one on Facebook.
did you?
that they
Did,
put
did
a
someone
Hellcat
do
in
it? Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, not just the engine, but I mean,
rest
go
of
through everything. Like,
Yeah.
work on the body. Everything. Just
Because it could be done cool.
I want to do a Prowler, and paint it like Bobby's Rat's Glass. Just recreate the Shades of the Past Street Rodder cover, flame it.
I think you need, if you're going to flame one of those, you need Mike LaValle real.
No,
flames.
no. I want to do it. I want to do it right.
Old school
for
hot rod
me,
flames.
I don't. I mean, I love hot rods. I don't. Again, I don't know that I aspire to own a Prowler, but but I have to say this. I mean, from an industry standpoint, and I was working in the industry when it came out. I was always amazed they did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Right.
They really did
this
it.
thing and federalized it and
Sure.
hit
Open
all the
wheel, high boy,
requirements
hot
and
rod.
just like wow,
Right.
they did it, and they and they did it at a time. I mean, they were coming out of tough times, right? And they-
But it's funny though. If you start going down that train of thought, like you're saying, like Ford, they didn't do that. There's so many things that you can put on Chevy and Dodge that were just like a swing for the fences, right? Or kind of going out. I mean, look at the the Sky, the Pontiac Sky, right,
Yeah.
with a V8, and that was a completely one-off
didn't
wild.
have a V8. People
No,
swapped
that was
them.
a kit.
Yeah, people
the-
swapped them to
Allen.
V8s.
What was
The
the
Saturn View.
Saturn View and the?
Yeah, they weren't.
Oh,
V8s.
they weren't
People
V8.
swapped them.
Okay, well, the stylistic
Yeah,
wise of
You
that
talking
car,
about the Pontiac Solstice?
Solstice. Yeah,
Solstice,
they were
the little
LSA
roadster,
swapping them.
right?
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
with the Saturn Sky,
Yes. It was
Saturn
similar-
Sky,
similar.
Pontiac Solstice.
Yeah.
Ill-fitting top.
But then, I mean, even things that Mopar did with, the SRT 10 trucks or whatever. I mean, you had a V10, short wheelbase regular cab pickup truck, right? That Chevy didn't do stuff like that. Chevy did some crazy. It was cool. Ford kind of just
They kept it clean.
you had Cobra, right? You did some stuff with the Mustang, and
but why?
but you didn't screw around with just. We've never done this before.
Okay.
Look at this.
So the fact, I guess what I'm thinking is that Ford's generally done it better. Like everything
They're more
they've brought
mature.
back, they're more mature. They've done it better. When they brought the GT back, it was pretty spectacular. When they brought the T-Bird back, whether you love it or hate it, it was actually a pretty damn good looking car. If they brought the Cobra or a 32 like Highboy back, it would have been something. If they would have done something in that kind of
It would have just looked like the Prowler though with the
No,
flat
but it
nose.
would have been better.
That's all you could have done.
But it would have been better. It would
I agree.
Been interesting to see.
Yeah. The
Standard question time.
Yeah.
I had to check that box.
You did.
I was curious about it. So
The GTD though is not doing what it should against Corvette though.
different
Sorry.
car. Different car.
It's it's not. It's the
engine's-
Halo.
Yeah,
They
but the
built
engine's
it.
in the front, and the other's in the middle.
They could have put the engine wherever they wanted to. They built the car.
Yeah, it's still a pretty spectacular vehicle, right?
It's a spectacular vehicle, but for the price point and what it did, I'm just saying. You got to call a spade when it is. Ford's got nothing but wins this whole 2.5 hours. GM at least gets a win on the new vet.
They're pushing back on that though, right? There's going to be some
There it is.
little back and forth.
Supposedly there's another 10 seconds to be shaved off the ZR1 time though. That'll be interesting. Yeah, and then Farley said there's more time to be shaved off the GTD. So,
Yeah.
have you driven one of those?
I have not. I have not driven one.
Looks to be a pretty spectacular vehicle.
They're brutal.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
looks.
just like a
Full-on race car.
Yeah, it's a full-on race car.
brutal, yeah.
Standard questions. All right, first up, favorite car movie.
God, I have too many.
If there's two, if you pick two of them, I'm getting up and walking
So-
out.
Ford versus Ferrari.
No, it's
Well, that's one. I mean, I've got a handful, right? Ford versus Ferrari, American Graffiti, Bullet.
just don't say
Common
two-lane
theme.
blacktop
Why?
because then y'all are twins. Then
Yeah,
The Chevy.
I mean, I don't. I mean, I like it. I don't know if it's like my top. Another movie I like. Is it Ronin?
Ronin. Ronan's
Like just the
great
sound of
movie.
that.
Have you gone back and watched Ronin
I've
start to
got to
finish?
go back and watch because the people that all mention Ronin are always like very interesting, articulate people that we have. on the
Ronin is a
podcast.
great movie.
So like Paris is like that's like my top like 3 places in the world. So there's that, and I've always been kind of a De Niro fan. I mean everything, right? It's just
Yeah,
all,
it's a good
lined
movie.
up.
I got to rewatch.
And just
it.
the sound of that car. And then it's not a movie. Is it called The Rendezvous where I think it was shot in like the late 70s and they put a camera on a Ferrari.
Oh,
and it's
the
just
drive-
this
yeah.
dude just rifling through these tight streets.
Yeah,
And it's either in Paris or Italy somewhere, and he's flying.
it's just a soundtrack basically. It's,
it's
video and a
just-
soundtrack.
I've never seen that.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
you've
cobblestone
got-
roads and
right?
like
Is that what it's?
it's Rendezvous, I think.
What
It's
is-
called The Rendezvous.
What's the model? What
Is it a 308 maybe? You don't see the car,
you just hear it.
right? Well, you see I think you see the hood, and then you hear it, and then and this thing's just like blasting through city streets. Having said that, I haven't seen this in a long time, so maybe it doesn't hold up. But I just the times I've seen it, and it's been years now. I just love that thing.
It's right there. It's the second one down. Ferrari 270.
Oh,
I apologize.
What does it
for
have
that.
to do with Senna? Was he behind the wheel of this thing? Was that a 250 GTO?
It is Paris.
Maybe it is Senna driving.
Well, yeah, then it makes sense.
Does it say what year it was shot?
76, it said.
Yeah.
76.
That is cool.
I love this film.
It's amazing.
I first saw it. I was at CCS. Someone showed it to me.
The other cool video when you talk about Senna is him driving the NSX in his loafers. Have you ever seen that?
No.
It shows his footwork and everything.
Oh, I bet.
It's pretty cool. It was like a publicity for the NSX when it first came out in '91. He's driving a red NSX and just flogging this thing on the track.
I love that. I love that documentary, Senna.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
What else? I feel like there's one I'm missing. One. You know what? You guys are gonna call me out on this one. I like it. I know it's hated like Le Mans.
Yeah, that's cool.
I know it was a box office flop, but there's just the level of detail, like the sounds and just, things that he sort of focused in on. I mean, have you been to Le Mans?
No.
Ever been?
No, I would. That's a bucket list.
So I've been a few times. Well, I lived in Europe, so I would go, and then of course I went in 15 and then 16 to see the GT win.
You had something going on with business and stuff like that there.
And people hate. There's no one talks in it for like the first 35 or 40 minutes, but there's something. I mean, if you're a car person, I don't know. Something about that movie. I could sit and watch it right now.
I think that
to finish.
Le Mans, they did. It's basically like the drive to whatever the Netflix F1
Drive to Survive.
Is that the name of it? Drive to Survive?
No.
What's the Netflix F1 series that really propelled F1 to, or whatever? Good grief, Need for.
Oh, I don't know it.
It's a Netflix series. It's like
that description.
You know what I'm saying. So basically, it's in the 4th season. That's what has made F1 a household name now. Was the Netflix special. So the Netflix special goes in, and they've got some of the drama and the stories with the drivers and the teams and the lives that they're living. But what they got with the soundtrack and the things about the cars and teaching you about the cars, but the noises, the sounds, the things behind the scenes, that's what Le Mans did without the stories of the people, right? They just got the mechanical thing. It's really the thing that we've always strived for on our videos when you're trying to capture the mechanical noises of the vehicle without it being, fake. Like you can't. Yeah. You want to hear the and you want to hear the things.
Yeah. Yeah, just the way it was shot.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I really like that film. And then I just saw F1 at the theater.
Was it good? We haven't seen it yet.
Ago. Yeah.
Was it a good movie?
I don't want to spoil it for you.
Okay. All right.
We had some time to kill last 2 nights ago. We were in Kansas. We looked up. We were almost going to go see it, but then
Phil said we couldn't go.
Phil brought up a good point that
he had to go see it with his son.
He wants to see it with his son, and I agree with that. I would like to see it. Why? I don't think it was cool.
I'd love to see it with my son if he would do anything with me, but he's grown up and gone now.
I think it's
come with me.
I mean, as a car person, it's worth checking out.
Okay.
Next up, go ahead.
Yeah.
You got more?
No.
If you got more, let's go.
I'm also a movie geek.
Okay.
So, no, that's it.
What's the car in Ronin?
The M5.
It's an M5.
M5 is one of the ones that's in there.
And it's in an Audi as well.
Yeah, there's an Audi S4.
And this is like an 80s flick, right?
No, this would be late 90s.
Late 90s.
Late 90s. Yeah.
And just the sound of it, that thing's just screaming, and I liked it.
I've watched it. I've watched the car scene hundreds of times because that was my go-to to sell home audio. So when I was at Tweeter, Hi-Fi Buys.
You didn't go to Nora Jones?
No. Well, that was you do that some for like hi-fi, but if you're selling a complete stereo surround system with the brand new Pioneer Plasma TV,
got it.
That was 27 inches, I think, at that point. That was $19,000.
I'd love to see Josh in the Dockers with the tucked in shirt
with a tie. Yeah, that's exactly what I had on. That's exactly what I had on. Yeah, make commission, buddy.
You turn the bass up and you turn the treble down.
Hey, I'm not supposed to turn it past this.
But nobody's my manager's
tell me. I'll watch the door. I'll turn it up. We're selling big systems, man.
So
Whatever it took.
Were you looking just for one movie? I kind of mentioned 6 of them.
No, that's fine. All of those work.
Those are all good ones.
Yeah.
All good.
Le Mans is a very rarely. I think it's come up 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Ford versus Ferrari comes up a lot. Ronan's come up.
I mean,
several times.
I'm kind of a movie nerd, and then I'm a car guy, and then I'm very, I'm that guy that you're watching a period film, and then the film's supposed to take place in 57, and then there's like a
72.
Yeah,
that's what Ford versus Ferrari did a great job on, though.
See, I don't.
Did you pick up stuff on it?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't.
What did you pick? Because I always look for that.
So
I'm scouring for even like a 1 year.
So at the
off
very
car.
end, they show the same car. It's supposed to be the Mark IV, but it's the Mark IV livery, but they didn't change the body.
Okay.
The Mark IV is a completely different car.
Right.
There's some of the wheels are larger than period, and there's a few things, bits and pieces, but I'm
so you're in the deep day. It's not like there was like a
86 F-150 in the background.
Right. I always keep an eye out for that.
I will say I have gotten.
Oh, sorry, one more.
Yeah, get it.
You're hitting a nerve. Movies.
That's fine. That's great.
The original Mad Max.
Oh,
awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
Australian Falcon.
My dad was for whatever reason. My dad's a preacher, and his dad was a preacher. His brother was a preacher. I grew up in a very Bible house.
That?
My dad was. It was like a
guilty pleasure.
It was a guilty pleasure, and he was 100% like he encouraged. Really? Said, "Hey, Mad Max is on," and
I love that.
I loved, and I remember being young, and being like, "This is borderline. Like, we're not supposed to be watching this."
Yeah.
And then now, like growing up, I watch like if I come across it being on, I'm watching it. I've got to finish it.
It's a cool movie.
I love it. It was just so when it came out, it was like it just felt very cutting edge because everything was slightly off.
The cuts, the jump cuts, and the way
So then, like, fast forward, I'm living in Melbourne. I'm living like. Where they shot between there. Melbourne and Geelong. So I was going to all these areas. I went to the train station. I went to where they debut the V8. It's in a parking garage. That's like Melbourne University parking garage.
Really?
Like down the street from my apartment. So I went to all these areas where they filmed, and it's just, oh man, it's so cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
There was something, that movie, you think about like scenes of that movie. It was Otherworld.
Yeah, it was.
The cops in the police station, and you've just got so like that Eastern European like punk rock, and there's just. But short of Thunderdome, there's not a bad Mad Max.
No,
there's not a Mad Max that I don't enjoy watching. Short of Thunderdome.
That was
wasn't a Thunderdome fan.
There were 2 movies when I was a kid. Like I don't know what 10. 11, like when my parents would leave me at home alone for like those formidable years, and I remember it was 2 movies that they're like, hey, my dad was like, well, watch this. Well, we're going out. Me and your mom are going out to dinner. One was Mad Max, and the other was Easy Rider.
Oh, yeah.
So I watched both those movies.
Easy Rider's an adult film.
But I watched both those movies as a young kid, like by myself.
That explains.
And it wasn't that a kid that age ordinarily wouldn't watch that, but it was like, I looked up to my dad and like him telling me to watch that. I'm like glued to it. Like, and Easy Rider was pretty cool. I remember but both of them were very, very cool movies.
Fury Road and Furiosa both. I mean, that's a completely different style movie.
Yeah.
But if you've got,
it's a Mad Max guy.
Man.
I wouldn't say I'm a Mad Max guy either. I don't remember
watched most of them.
I'm a huge sucker for anything post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, me too.
I love post-apocalyptic creating
in that space.
Well, yeah, that, but I also love Trinket's creations, the things of like when you start catching things, putting together, and you're like,
Burning Man. You should go to Burning Man. Isn't that like that?
I would, if I could watch a movie about it, it'd be fine. But I also don't like loud noises, so I wouldn't want to be there and have to live Burning Man. Yeah. But I've watched all the like videos of them building Burning Man vehicles. It's cool.
That's kind of that vibe, right?
Yeah, it is. Just something about like I loved Waterworld.
Waterworld was cool.
Yeah,
that's a good movie.
Mine was Blade Runner.
Blade Runner's cool.
There's just something about the. I love the.
I agree. Yeah,
everything's gone to shit. The only people that you're watching, the ones that have made it, and they are making these things, go together. That's just, I'm a sucker for that. All right, next up. Going through a couple different ones. No, I'm just trying to see.
One I think we need to bring back.
Go ahead, get it.
Fire away.
Oh, you had it ready right there.
Tip of your tongue. I'm trying to figure out how to word it.
Now you lost.
What was the car that grabbed you as a youngin' that kind of inspired you into the car design world?
1963 split window Corvette.
Cool.
My dad's friend, and then later they partnered in business. But we were at the whole house. So I must have been about 5. So I was born in 63. So the car's now 5 years old. Buys it secondhand, black on black, split window, and I just freaked out. And it's the little things, right? Like opening the door and how the door went up into the roof. It's like, wow, it's like an airplane, And you get in it, and the console's so narrow that they took a conventional radio and
turned it
upside, and that just like blew my mind. I just thought. Yeah, the 63 split window Vet, and then Series 1 E-Type.
Yes.
I remember seeing a kid. I mean, because my dad, I grew up in Dearborn, Michigan. Just all Ford cars, not a ton of foreign stuff. And I just remember, like, every once in a while I'd see a foreign car go by, and I'll never forget. And because I'd ask my dad, I'm like, hey, what's that? And a E-Type coupe went by, and again, it was sort of like the Vet. It was just like, it's like, it's just like a spaceship, I was 5 years old, and you have to remember, my dad's bringing home, what year it would have been, it would have been like 67 Pontiacs and 67 Oldsmobiles, and here's this, and here's huge, and here's this E-Type thing going. The Corvette and the Series 1 E-Type, those are two cars that left a huge impression on me.
Bringing it back to Rob Ida, have you seen that black cat?
Dude, it's beautiful. But so I love an E-Type's a car I will absolutely own. So I've been playing around with this one. Would you chop that car like that? That's got like maybe an inch taken out of the roof.
This does?
Yeah.
It's got an inch out?
Yeah.
Oh, does it really?
But I love an E-Type. Like it's a car I will own 100%.
Did you see Rob's?
Rob's is extreme, but it's very cool.
Right. It's awesome.
That was a 2+2.
Yeah, which a 2+2 you got to take. 2+2 always look like a helmet.
Yeah, it needs to be chopped, right? No, so I love so I've got a I have a 1950. I always wanted, working on F-150s at Ford. I grew to appreciate F-150s, and I one day I was like, I want a first gen F1 truck. I really want the first generation. And I finally found one out of Ohio, bought it, and I was having some work done on it, and I came so close. And it's all original. It's beautiful, right? So it looks like original farm trucks. Got the Flathead in it.
Sure.
V8. I came so close. I was going to chop it an inch.
Yeah.
When we get over, we got something to show you in the showroom.
And
in the shop.
And it's always that thing where, people, it takes a lot of money and effort and time to do that, right? So everyone goes big, right? They get their money's worth, and I'm the opposite. I almost
just enough for the proportions to be right.
Yeah, and I want it, and that's this car. It's like, hey, is that chopped? You know what I mean? Like you're not sure.
Just looks right. Like it should be that way.
Yeah, right. I mean it's high. That thing the cab's like so tall in that thing. But in the end, I didn't do it.
But this car even.
I love that. That's great.
I even printed it out because anything you're going to do in paper translates to metal. So however you cut paper generally, when you're talking about chopping a top or shaping metal. So I did a side profile and I started cut just to see where you would have to cut it and how you would pie cut it to lay that kind of fastback down. It's not bad. It can be done pretty easily.
So would you change the pillar or would you stretch the roof?
I would stretch the roof.
Okay.
But you'd pie cut it through that would ordinarily be the sail panel, but the car doesn't really have a sail panel, and then the whole top kind of lays down into it, and it's subtle, but but it's also a gorgeous car as is,
beautiful. Yeah, those are the two cars that left a big impression on me as a kid.
Before we press on, that's one we've never internally discussed. Either you guys got one that was the car that
mine was a 69 Camaro.
Really?
Yeah.
When did you see it?
I don't remember.
Probably me. You saw me driving.
No, it was way before
God, my
you.
brother's fucking awesome.
It was just that line coming off the front wheel opening down the side of the car, and I didn't even know what it was. And then I remember it was John Butler's mom asking me what my favorite car was, and I was embarrassed to say 69 Camaro because it had 69 in it.
And she was
an old Camaro.
Yeah, she was
a school teacher.
Sweet lady.
Yeah.
How about you?
Probably Orbitron.
Okay.
Yeah,
Roth.
The Roth car.
But I was young. But that was the first one. It was like, oh, so you can just do anything.
Yeah.
You can just do whatever you want. Like that was the creative freedom that probably hooked me. After that, it was probably like an actual just real car, not anything custom, whatever. 60 Starliner was pretty wild. Not having seen that car before and then seeing a 60 Starliner, like the first time you ever see a 60 Starliner is like, there's nothing else that's even kind of close.
Yeah.
You could argue that a 60 Impala is kind of close, but the front end ain't even close. I mean, a 60 Starliner is got it. It's got it all.
It's a good looking car.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably those two. But Orbitron was because young. But I was also. It's what's always funny is like hearing, Tom Peters and some of these other designers talk about how much influence they've had off of, Roth and some of these cartoonish, non-proportion.
So for me, that stuff all came later. The '63 Corvette. I was probably 5.
Yeah.
But then the crazy, the Roth cars, the Barris, all the crazy '70s Autorama, like that stuff, that all came a bit later for me. But yeah, it was. It all it fed my enthusiasm to. I was like Tom. I was building kit models and I'm customizing them.
Right.
I never ever built a kit model to the
directions.
No, ever.
So that spring's what holds it up. I can cut it in half, and it'll be half as low or twice as low. But I thinking just as you're asking, I've probably never even thought about it, but there's so much of my early childhood that was influenced car-wise on illustrations. Okay. Not like physical, like new body style cars or even old, just, cars. It was from the cartoons. Remember the cartoons?
Yeah.
And then in the back of Hot Rods, they always had like the single page cartoon that was some, quippy saying of something like that. It was, F-100 or something, and, a chick with big boobs and cartoon character or something. It was always the cartoon, not cartoon, but the illustration stuff of, flames, big motor, a little bit of exaggerated proportions that was reminiscent of things that you could do. That it was the illustration part that really always got me.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That I think back about as being like, just had to consume that all the time. And then probably first couple of cars of trying to, like, within reason, recreate like a cartoonish. I mean, remember the 76 F-100, the first thing I ever drove at 13. The first thing in my mind was, can we put the bumper on the ground and the back up in the air? And, like, what do I do about a motor that can stick up through the hood? At 13, I'm not
shifter through the roof.
I'm not realizing, like, those are, like, things. It's just like, let's just make it like that.
That's the stuff I was drawing. I was drawing, like, these cars jacked up, huge tires in the back, engine blowing through the hood.
Right.
Yeah.
Because at that age, especially, like, at 13, 14, it was like, I think everybody, all of us grow and mature along the way. But at that point, it's like, if you're going to do the work, like, much to the chop, like, if I'm going to chop it, I want everybody to know.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm going to put a motor in it, I want everybody to see it. If I'm going to, like, slam it, I want everybody to know. If I'm going to, like, I want everybody to see the big back tire. If you're going to do it, you want to be at lower than anybody else, louder than anybody else. Like, it's the competition part of, like, customizing. What was yours?
I don't have any, like, major standout. The only things I can remember are, like, one time being in, like, we're driving somewhere on the highway, being a young kid and looking over, and there was, like, I don't even know what car it was. It must have been like a Skylark or something, like a base, like a post car or something. But I remember the dudes, they looked like fucking Buddy Holly. They were like two guys driving in the car, and I remember just being like, whoa, like pompadour, like slick back, and I'm like,
so cool.
That's fucking cool. That was one I remember, but it wasn't so much the car; it was the
vibe
thing. And the only other one I remember is my dad had body shops, and he did the police towing, and he impounded a Countach.
Oh,
and he had a Countach in the shop. I mean, I was probably 10 or 12, something like that.
I bet that was a big deal.
Yeah, and it was purple.
The much bigger deal is that there was a deal where after so many years of storage or so many months of storage, you can take possession with the mechanics lien on it.
Yeah.
And it was like one of those where it's
You're counting down the days.
We're
getting a Countach.
Dad's getting a Countach. We're getting a Countach.
It's gone.
But I remember there was gum all over it. Remember there was, like, because there was a police chase and they chased him, but there was, like, gum stuck all over the roof of the car.
But you're already figuring out how you can clean that out. And, like, that'll be fine. My God,
but you talk about, like, the proportions of just seeing this thing in person for the first time.
That had to be.
It was cool.
Big time.
Yeah. I remember just sitting in the corner of the body shop. Like,
I mean, I looked at it in a poster only for years.
Yeah.
Instead, we got a purple Chrysler LeBaron.
Yeah.
I bet you I was probably 20 the first time I ever saw a Countach in person.
But at that time, it probably, I mean, at 10 years old, that would have been in the early night. It was almost a new car.
Yeah, that's a big deal. All right, next up. Best piece of advice you ever received?
I've had a lot of advice. I mean, I have very supportive parents. Probably my mom's mom. I remember starting at Ford, and I remember her telling me, I was so green, and I, didn't know anybody, and I just remember my grandma just saying, I think I was talking about what I mentioned earlier about, it was a generation gap, and some of the older modelers, they were, kind of grumpy and sometimes a little hard to deal with. And I just remember my grandma just telling me, just be nice, like, whether it's the person sweeping the floor or, the guy working on the clay models with you or whoever it is, just treat them, just be nice, treat them, be respectful. And I did, I just tried to, just treat everyone with, just kindness and fairness. And, cause you're dealing with, you're dealing with like people will come in and scrape the floors. They scrape the clay off the floors, and you've got vice presidents coming in the
all
studio.
ranges.
Just this crazy
all walks of life.
Hierarchy of individuals. And my grandma just used to say, just treat whoever they are, just treat them with respect. And then my grandma was very spiritual, and she used to say, and then there were times where I was working with someone or working for somebody and I was struggling, it was just, that the industry can be very political and can be very cutthroat. And I just remember having some experiences where I was struggling, and my grandma would say, you need to pray for that person. Just pray for that person.
I got that same advice a lot of times. I'm like, yeah, but he's put my head in the toilet 3 times. Like, I'm not praying for him. No, that's just an exaggeration. All right. First car. We try to guess most of the time. Was your first vehicle a gift, or did you purchase it?
Purchased.
You purchased.
Yeah, my money.
At 16?
Purchased the car?
Yeah.
I think I was 17.
Okay. All right. What year did you turn 16?
79.
79. So, it's a different era.
Was it something that you desired, or something you bought just for transportation?
Desired.
79,
It's probably a 79 Trans Am. Dad was a General Motors guy.
Just grabbing my phone because I want to show.
Okay.
Dad was a General Motors guy. At that point, he didn't make the decision that he was going to, fly the coupe and go. And
70 Camaro.
you think so?
70 Camaro.
It's leaning towards early square body or early second gen.
I don't know. Well, early second gen. I'll tell you that the damn
weather,
Trans Am comes up so much. Everybody wanted a Trans Am.
The weather, though. This is Detroit.
Yeah, year round. I didn't think about that.
I'm going early square body.
Yeah, but at 16, you don't think about that either.
You don't. Yeah, you don't.
I'm going to stick with it. Yeah, it could be off a few years.
I'm going split bumper.
Split bumper?
It's 70 split bumper.
That's 70 split? Yeah, I love that car. Well, you guys are good.
I mean, that's a designer's dream. I mean,
You're
that's
really good.
What was it?
So I love that car. I also the split bumper. It was the full grill.
Yes, full grill.
I love that car. I also loved 1970 Chevelle Sports. So this is I think this is senior year. That's me.
Oh,
71?
Yeah.
72.
72. Chevelle.
71. 71 had the split in the
marker
indicator.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was pretty much it. And it was a big change from the 70, but I really wanted a 70, and this was sitting in the parking lot of a swap meet my dad and I went to. It was a Georgia car. Cool. It was so clean. And I had to have it. It
Here,
had everything.
See that for a second. Get a little.
As a car designer, should the 70 have had the 71 rear bumper on it? So
Not with a
round tail lights, round headlights.
round headlights. The 70 had the
ask that again.
70 Chevelle had the 2 round headlights in the front, square tail lights in the back.
Yeah.
71 had a single headlight in the front, 2 round tail lights in the back.
Right.
I've always thought they missed a year on that rear bumper.
You know what? Can you pull one up?
I can't.
Didn't
Roger,
Roger-
71.
Roger
he did
blended
that.
them.
He did.
Roger
I
blended it.
agree with you. I mean, I did really like the 70, 172. I love the just the round, simple taillights in the bumper. But I also thought that
It is all 1970 tail lights might be the same.
I don't know. I mean, you can analyze this to to your blue, but then you look at the 70, and I always thought that, I get how they came. Just I don't know. The square taillight kind of relates to the upper part of the body. It just all sort of relates. But then you can argue, yeah, but then the headlights are round, right?
So this is 72,
yeah.
and that's 70.
Yeah. So, I mean, what you don't see here is there's a lot of plan view in it. And so they, the square taillights also relating to the plan view shape of the bumpers relating to the plan view of the body.
Plan view's top
view.
top down.
Yeah. So it where the trunk cut line is, there's a break in plan view, and that surface comes outboard. And so they were kind of playing up like it sort of works with the plan view. So
When you put them
you
side by side, the
like it
70
all. I
actually
mean, again,
does look kinda better.
I ended up loving my 72, but it is almost like, well, they had all this surface going on, and then they just like, bam, they just punched these holes in it.
Let me ask you about plan view and or top view, because one, the latest gen GT, the 2017 or whatever, top view on that plan view,
It's crazy.
It's the best.
Unbelievable.
Isn't it great?
Unbelievable.
It's a spaceship.
Yeah, it's 100%
It's like
spaceship.
It's like a jet fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
that's
you
an
got
airplane.
that perfect. I mean, from a headlight
Yeah.
to the peak,
Yeah, it's my favorite.
one shape, and then the overlapping. It's amazing. But from a design standpoint, you never see a car marketed with a top view.
Yeah.
Like it's so important to a designer standpoint, but
You never see it that way either.
you never see that car that way. That's interesting.
If there's one you should see that way, it's that car.
Oh, it's amazing.
You can see if you
But
there's-
designers, I mean, it's funny. You're right, but at the same time, designers spend a lot of time on plan views, and a lot of the studios, like at Ford, are like designers sit in a mezzanine and they look down
really.
into the studio at Clay Models, so you can. I mean, you're going to be on the floor. You're going to see the side view every day, but
Yeah.
you also, from a design standpoint, it's nice to like be able to see the plan view as well. And the new studios in GM, they did that. So when they built the new wing, all the designers are in the mezzanine, so
Okay.
they can look down onto the.
But you never go into a
models.
dealership and
I
be
know.
and able to see it,
I know.
and you never see any marketing materials.
Well, yeah, they did show
Well,
the plan
that
view of this one.
that one they did, yeah.
But
But
you're right. Yeah, they never. Yeah,
That's just a crazy
I know.
view of that car.
it's nuts. Look at that right there.
Now jump to the gen before it, 0506. See if there's an image of that.
That's Porsche.
Do you guys do any Porsche projects?
We just did a chassis,
stuff, yeah.
Did you?
356 with a
really?
newer, what was it, a 3.8 liter? Yeah, I don't really know what the
Yeah.
motor was, but we want to get into them. We just haven't had the opportunity yet.
Yeah, the 930 stuff's interesting to play with, like from a suspension standpoint.
Yeah.
It's such a popular platform.
Do you follow Rod Emery's stuff at all?
Yeah. We had Rod out on the podcast.
Oh, you did? Oh, cool.
Rod's awesome. Yeah. I mean, Rod's another one of those guys. He's kind of sort of like Rob Ida. He's got like a really wild kind of detailed style that's super unique and really cool.
So my Rob Ida story is...
I didn't get any pictures of that car from the top.
Ever. It doesn't even exist.
Yeah. I'm at Race a Gentleman 2015. I took the Model A out. And we're on the beach, and it was awesome. God, it was such a blast to do that. But there's all these, people have driven up to watch the race, and there's muscle cars in the sand and a bunch of stuff. But then there's this like beautiful red, and I'm not a red car guy, but it's a red 356. But this thing, and it's a little beat up. It's not precious, but the stance, like the ride height, attitude, positioning of the like it was spot. I couldn't take my eyes off this thing. I kept walking around it, and body was a little beat up, and oh my God, I love this car. And then found out, like, I don't know, like a year later that that's when I met Rob at SEMA, that was his car.
That's crazy.
That is cool.
Rob's like, he's awesome, man. That guy's
really cool. The 356, that's a tough car. Like, I've spent my entire career focused on stance and proportions and how to sit a car with wheels and tires. The 356 just reminds me of like a bar of soap.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard you can set it up, you can set it down.
Upside down bathtub,
yeah,
right?
It's like, it's tough to, like, all of a sudden put it at such a stance where you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Like, it's, but it's a beautiful car. It's a cool car. It just doesn't hit you.
Yeah.
To me.
The little speedster instead.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just study. It's just, purity, right? It's just so simple.
Yeah.
I like it because it's if you could go kind of hard enough with it, it's almost like something that's like from the war.
Yeah.
Like it's got a little bit of like, it's so raw.
Utilitarian.
Yeah, it's so utilitarian. I mean, it's war era, so it's like
tank.
Yeah. Last but not least, everybody's favorite. Your most memorable law enforcement interaction story.
So I lost a cop once.
You lost one? Lost a cop?
So I'm in Europe, and I'm in a...
lost him that way. Got you.
Oh, sorry.
No, you got... I didn't admit...
No,
didn't know
he was in your
doing.
possession, and you lost him.
No, he was coming after me.
Yes.
So I'm driving through, I'm living in Cologne. I've got a Cosworth Escort. It thing was so awesome. The car was a rocket. And I'm, just driving like my hair on fire. And I'm, in Germany at that time, there were quite a few Autobahns that the speed limit was limitless, right? They have a sign that looks like a speed limit sign, but then it's got the lines through it and means, hammer down. Have at it, right? And at the time, it was everywhere. Well, being, a young idiot, I drove all of Europe like it was Germany. So anytime I went through like Brussels or France, or I drove like I'm in Germany, like there's no speed limit. Well, there's speed limits. And I'm... what I said, Brussels, sorry. I'm in France because I'm driving to Paris, and I'm coming up to there's a giant, they call it the Périphérique. It's a giant ring that goes around Paris. It's huge.
Okay.
I believe that's the road that Princess Diana was killed on. So when you get to it's this giant thing, and you can go different ways, and I just thought, and so anyway, I'm driving, I'm way above the speed limit, and I'm driving by it's like a equivalent to like a rest stop here, and just in the corner of my eye I see a police car coming out, and I'm watching him, and then sure enough, man, he puts the lights on, but I'm flying. And he's just
getting up to speed,
and there's already quite a few cars in between us, and I am like I'm probably not even half a mile from this freak, and I thought, once he's not going to know which way I've gone. And I just thought, you know what? And I just left the hammer down and never saw him again. So that was nice. And I was shaking, man. I was like, afterwards I was just like, and then years later I was like, what was I thinking? What
was there an initial lift and then you're just like hammer down?
You know what? It was immediate. I just thought, you know what? Screw this.
Split second decision.
Split second.
Yeah.
It's a pivotal decision at that.
Yeah. The car was so fast. This Cosworth.
Yeah.
I think it was like a Volkswagen Golf, and I just thought,
there's no way.
You know what? This guy's he's not gonna catch me. I don't know.
Yeah. Sometimes those happen. Like you said, you've got a split second to make the decision,
and that's it. Is when you sleep on it, you lose the window of opportunity.
But there's so many other factors. There's, like you said, there's the traffic, the speed that he's going.
Yeah. That was the last time when
how many exits there are to get off.
Last time I got pulled
over. If you know the area well enough. If there's a gas station you can park behind. I mean, all kinds of things that go into it.
Well, and then also too, when you're living there, you're always in this mode of, hey, if something happens, I'm the dumb American. I'm like, I've got this American. I had an international driver's license that doesn't mean anything over there.
Right.
I don't know. I just thought, you know what? I think I got this.
It was for the best.
I had that one on last time I got a ticket in the Legend truck going down Indian Creek, which that they set you up on that.
That's
road.
An Autobahn with a 25 mile an hour speed.
And it was I'm doing like 45 and a 30. Not the bad, but I see them and I'm like, damn it, I know, because they're 2-lane street coming at me, and I know I see the brake lights. And I see they're about to make the U-turn.
You should have just punched it.
It was that moment where
you didn't have the garage door clicker on there.
I could have just fucking punched it, and I'd have been gone. But it's a small town.
You had your son with you too, right?
My daughter.
Oh.
But I'm like,
she wouldn't have told.
Yeah. No, she would have been fine. But that truck is so recognizable.
Yeah,
it's the only tan 76.
I know. There's no way to prove that you were driving it, but then
I guess, yeah. But
trust me. I've made that argument before.
I slowed it down. I get a ticket in Spanish.
Prove to me that I was the one driving this red Civic with the big wing.
Yeah.
I do have one more story.
Yeah.
It's not as exciting as that one, but I'm in the GT and I took. Do you know? Have you heard of Bill Jaganal? He owns Brothers Customs in Troy, Michigan. So he's a independent hot rod shop.
Okay, I've definitely heard the name.
My Model A's there right
now. Brother, they're very traditional hot rods.
Traditional hot rods.
He's the guy that has those super cool engine stands, like they always show cast.
He's got all this old equipment, beautifully restored. He's sort of turned into kind of like he's like the local flathead expert.
Yeah, I mean he's bitching turtle deck T, right?
He's got a 27 T that it's like my favorite. It's this high. I mean, it's just awesome. Just good friend of mine, great dude. Very talented. And his son, when the GT came out, his son just sort of like me with the Corvette, right?
Yeah.
And I just thought I had this like full circle moment. It was his birthday, Liam, and I told Bill, I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm going to come over your house and I'm going to take Liam out for a spin. And he's like, oh, he's going to love it. So I took him out, and there were a few times I was probably slightly over the speed limit. And then I come back and I drive up and I park in the street along the curb in front of his house, and there's a police car behind me, and the police car pulls up, and then it pulls over, and then he gets out, and I thought, oh man. And he gets out and he just starts asking me about the car. Like he didn't know it. I mean, it was pretty early on. I mean, it was probably the car had only been out maybe a couple of years, and he would just I don't think he had ever seen one before. He didn't know what it was, and he was just so like enamored with the car and fascinated. And he just started asking. It was all about like the car. It was kind of wild. So
get out of jail free car.
Yeah, that car for sure is.
There's nothing. Again, I think about. There's been a couple of times with that one in Vegas. It was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then quickly went into, dude, you want one bad. You don't have one.
Yeah.
That one's cool.
It always goes that way.
Yeah. This has been amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome.
The art, are you still doing your art? Is that your release? How often do you do that?
Not as much as I want to. Art is I love cars. I'm constantly tinkering on my cars. That's my real love. But also, like, art's right there. Art is it's my happy place. It's my,
your stuff is amazing.
Man, very cool.
I want a piece for the studio.
I love it. I just can't.
Look at this.
What's the story with the Milner's Coupe?
Well, I'm a huge American Graffiti fan.
As am I.
And just always, growing up, just thought that car was the coolest. So that Formula Ford you just had up, that's a piece I did for. So Raj Nair he was our product guy, and he was based in Asia when I was in Melbourne. And he used to come over to the studio quite a bit, and I got to know him. And he's a race car driver. And then when he got his promotion, he moved back to Dearborn. He's a vice president. He had this massive office on Mahogany Row, and he made mention of he's like, yeah, I'm in this big office, and now I just I need something on the wall. And so I was still in Melbourne at the time, so I did that. That piece is pretty big. So I found a picture of his old Formula Ford race car. And,
wow.
And so that's all stencil, hand cut stencil, and then I use a lot of found objects and.
It's so American military pop art race car. Like, I don't know. It's just got.
Yeah.
I know it is a lot of words.
It's so funny you mention that because that's all the stuff I like. and there's none here, but I also I'm a space geek. So the Apollo era, Mercury, Gemini, all that stuff. I love that stuff. In fact, I
love that.
My last opening, I did a show gallery with a friend of mine, and it was just called Space. And so he does these giant acrylic paintings. He had paintings of astronauts, and then all my stuff was all NASA influence. It was a lot of fun.
I think that's
cool,
amazing.
That's badass.
Do you do any canvas prints of those
I printed the Milner Coupe.
Yeah,
that's the only print I've ever done.
That's cool.
And then I had someone interested in it, and they bought some prints.
It's you got to let us know when there's a more thing. Oh, look at that.
Cool.
Yeah, amazing, Craig. Absolutely beyond our expectations, and we had some pretty high expectations. Seriously, it was an amazing time.
Just honored to be here.
It's an honor to have you, man. I really enjoyed this. This was
thank you.
We could ask questions all night long.
Oh, I could keep going for hours.
we got.
I love talking about cars.
We'll have to do it again. Now we've got all the meeting each other out of the way.
Yeah.
Now the next time can just be story time. We can just tell stories.
Love it. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. See you again next week.